morning, everybody. Happy shit. What Thursday? Wednesday, not Thursday. Today is Wednesday to everybody out there. It's great to see you guys wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thank you so very much for making us part of your day. Oh, son of a bitch. I made myself go away. Had to edit that screen a little bit. It's another blistering, sticky real sticky day in Mesa, Arizona. One of those days that makes your skin feel more hydrated in the morning, and by the end of the day, it makes you feel like you've been in a bathtub all day. So that's how it's going to be. It's monsoon season here in Arizona, which is a beautiful time. We got the haboobs rolling through. We get thunderstorms now and then, and one of my favorite times to be in Arizona just because rain is so unusual. So good to see you guys. This is a Cheech and Chong hat. I wish I remembered who this was from. Occasionally, I reach out to companies sometimes if I see hats that I like, and we just kind of make a deal that they'll send me hats in exchange. This is from Odd Socks, ODDSOX. They also sent me a bunch of socks. Cool company. I don't think I've ever mentioned this really, but I have like a weird, like I'm a little bit allergic to grass. Not that grass, not the good grass, but grass. And so when I golf, like if the grass gets up around my ankles, I get itchy. And so when I am outside in grass, I wear longer socks. So I have a you think I have a hat collection? I have an absolute banger of a sock collection. So I looked at them first because of the socks, but then they had some hats too. So check them out, Odd Socks, ODDSOX. Unless they're a terrible company, in which case fuck them. And I'm sorry. Asa Sophia said, getting ready for somewhat eclipse in 40 minutes. No sun, but we will see the change in daylight. Well, shout out to Iceland and your eclipse. What time is it in Iceland right now, Jen? Off the top of your head, what time do you think it is?
I have no idea.
You mother.
I'll guess. Just
Is Duke there? Duke would know.
no, he's not here.
What's he doing?
Not today.
Why
Working, that asshole.
5 p.m. 5 p.m. in Iceland. Just generally, what can you tell us what Duke does for work? You may have already.
Um, he works. Um, trying to think how general. I know, but
He's a
so he does.
gigolo, always on the go.
He works for a utility company, making sure things are safe so
You
that
utilitizing.
utilities could be provided.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Sure. Yeah, like he's yeah, sure. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Do
So
you think Duke
that's
would have
that's
known what time it was in Iceland?
I don't think he would have any guess.
Can you text him
Um,
and ask him off the top of his head if he knows what time it is in Iceland right now?
sure, I'll ask
Okay.
him.
I gotta say though, Duke's job sounds pretty close to Jeffrey. You seem to have a type, kind of like
No,
that blue collar. What does he wear? Does he wear
ew,
a lot of tank tops?
no,
Have you ever seen him in a tank top?
no,
Does he wear a tank top undershirt,
no.
boxers or briefs?
Boxer briefs.
Boxer briefs. As I've gotten older, to be honest, like I've gotten more into boxers. Does he say razzle dazzle? It's a good
No,
question.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
That's disappointing. Uh, I'm gonna
Yeah,
that'd be I guarantee that's Jeff's finishing move. Here comes the razzle dazzle.
that would be. Ew. Number one, but
Rude, rude.
that would. I can't imagine he would get very many repeat visits if that was his finishing move.
RTP loves being in a boxer or two. Yeah, sure. I had a fun conversation with my daughter this morning about my dog. She's like, "Dad, I thought Archie was a boy." I'm like, "Archie is a boy," and she flipped him over and pointed, and she said, "Where's his balls?" I was like, "I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question." Are
I mean,
dogs
he
like
still has them.
no, what?
Has he been
No,
neutered?
he's 4 months old. I think like do dogs balls drop too?
From my understanding, they're yes.
I mean, yeah. I was like, I don't
Does
know,
your
baby.
dog just have really small balls?
Okay, first of all, We don't judge.
I'm just asking. I mean, maybe he has a medical
No,
condition
he doesn't. He has huge, massive balls somewhere.
that
They're
you
saying they haven't
that you,
dropped yet. Okay, so yeah, he's a baby.
okay,
They haven't dropped yet. Okay. When do they
okay.
drop? Throw a ball
I don't
dropping
know.
party. I'm asking the chat. Sorry, I know you don't know. Have you ever owned a dog?
Yeah, I've had lots of dogs.
Do you have a dog now?
No, I had a I don't know if remember how I told you I've had like two well now I guess three relationships
So
since my husband
just want to throw it out there. That's
escaped
a
the war.
weird segue from me asking if you had a dog that you started talking about
Well, let me no,
relationships.
there's a point to it. There's a point
Okay.
to it. So I've had two I've now three relationships. The first relationship
Was a
ended with
bulldog?
a restraint ended with a restraining order,
Okay.
and during the restraining order, um the the guy lost his girl, his house, and his dog. The judge gave me the dog in the restraining order. So that was the last dog I had. And he was a 90 to 100 pound pit bull. That was huge.
What was his name?
So Gordo was his name. I didn't name him. He came with a name. He was huge.
My dog came with a name too. It was the stupidest name. I can't remember. It was like pineapple or some shit like that. It was a weird name. I didn't
I
like
mean,
it.
he was a cool dog, but I had before him, I had two different Jack Russells. So
Is that the Fraser dog?
yes.
Gotcha. Okay, those dogs are cute. I
Uh,
like those.
so I can show you. I'll send pictures of Gordo. So that's Gordo.
Oh, do you want to show? Do you want to show everybody?
You can, yeah, you can show
Okay.
everybody.
Uh, Gordo's cute or was cute.
Yeah, yeah, he was cute.
Probably isn't that cute anymore. Probably just mostly bones.
And then these
Look
are
at
the
that
Jack
chub. Look at
Russells.
that chubby. Did you just grab onto his cheeks and shake him?
Oh yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
would have done too.
He was a cool dog. I mean, for being a an only chick and with a daughter in the house, he wasn't the dog that I would choose because I sent you a picture of the Jack Russells I had.
Yeah.
Um, um, but he was. I mean, he sounded mean even though he was a softie. So
I haven't heard my dog bark or whine yet. I don't know if that's. It seems good, but he may he may not know how to bark. That's
maybe
weird, right?
he hasn't found it. He hasn't found his
He
voice
hasn't
yet.
found his
So
voice. Yeah, yeah. Maybe he has a weird voice and he's like insecure about it. I'm not sure.
well, now you got to show the Jack Russells. I mean, you can't.
Did you send the? Oh, I didn't see those. Oh
Yeah,
my
they were
apologies.
dirty, so they like got in the dirt, so they had to take a bath, had to take a shower.
All right,
So
let me pull that up there. Look at these cute little friends. They look very different. Why? How come one of them has such a wiry face?
they have like three different coats. So um a, they have like a smooth coat. They have a medium, like a in between, and then they have more of a wiry a broken coat. So the one on the right
Did you say
had
broken
more of a
coat?
broken, yeah, broken coat. So it's like a mixture of smooth but also some wiry kind of mixed in.
Okay.
And then the one on the left, and I didn't name the one on the left. His name was Jack. Jack Russell.
Yeah.
His hair was longer and kind of more fluffy, but he was he didn't like men, which is ironic. So he would go after men and cats. So
Sorry about that. Sorry, man. It's tough.
but
I
yeah,
had a
so
cat named Wendell that hated men, but he was like, I mean, I think the feminists here maybe really will like him. He would go like whenever men would come over to my house when I was a kid. That's when I had him. His name was Wendell. He was a Siamese cat. I named him after my friend's dad, who was an IRS agent, who was also the grumpiest human being on earth. And Wendell would come and jump on people's laps and they'd pet him and he'd start purring. And once he was done, if it was a man, he would just bite them and then jump off their lap. And we just would never warn people because we thought it was so funny. And so like everybody that came over, Wendell would just come over, hop on their lap, bite them, and then get out of there. He was scrappy as shit. He wound up he would get in cat fights all the time. He wound up losing an eye. He had scars everywhere, but he was tearing shit up.
so his gangster cat. There's a cat on TikTok, or someone puts a camera on a cat,
Uh-huh.
and I'll have to find a video, and he just runs around and just fights. It's like this whole. I
I
mean,
love
there's.
that. Oh, I remember. Yeah, yeah.
I
You should
mean,
find that.
yeah, I'll find it. But it's so funny. That cat. But so Spawn wants a cat, and I lie to her and tell her that I'm allergic because I don't want a cat.
I am allergic to cats a little bit. It just makes me a little itchy. Asta Sophia said, "Jay, do you still have your girls?" I do not. Unfortunately, do not still have my girls. That's why I got a dog. I miss them terribly, but unfortunately, that
So Amber sent a Venmo that said, "Do not just wear boxers. I worked in a nursing home. Balls will sag, and later in life end up in the toilet bowl. So bad toilet risers do not always work. Support them balls."
Oh, all right, that's fair. I only have 2 pair. I just like them. I like to wear them when I'm sleeping. When I'm out and about,
I
I
mean, I
want
think
the
that's.
yeah.
I
That's
mean,
good advice.
you could go chonyless, I guess, to
Chonyless?
sleep in. Yeah,
Ch-
chonies.
Did you say
I mean,
chony?
yeah, chonies.
What
I
is
think
that
it's
word?
underwear. That means it's. I think it's underwear in Spanish.
Chonies is? Oh, okay. All right, we're getting.
Yeah,
I got a little flavor today. Appreciate that.
there you go.
I
I've always
didn't.
said I don't know. I've always said chonies.
Oh, I've never heard that, bro. Try sax. I like sax. Shit, what's that company? Pair of Thieves. I like Pair of Thieves. That's kind of my go-to. My favorite brand.
Brand.
Yeah, it's I
I
don't
don't.
remember who Jessica Alba's married to, but it's like her husband's brand, I think.
His name is Cash something. I think
Oh, that sucks. Does
his
he
first name is
suck?
Cash. I don't know, to be honest.
I
I've
don't know
heard.
many people named
I don't
Cash that
know.
don't suck.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's too bad. All right. Well,
No idea. I don't have an opinion on Jessica Alba's husband.
it's not him, it's me.
But
Okay, cool. She
so
divorced him.
I thought I had heard something like that, but I wasn't sure.
All right.
So, and I'll let you know what Duke says about Iceland.
Thank you.
Um,
Uh
when
why
he
don't you do announcements? I forgot to grab my water, so I'll be right back.
All right, sounds like a plan. All right, welcome everybody. We're getting the show going. Um, we do this each day from 9:30 ish to 1 Pacific Standard Time. So wherever you're watching, I'm glad you're here. We have a gift goal that we need to hit each day to keep the lights on so we can keep doing this. How to knock out that gift goal is Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats. Um, our preferred methods are the pay links over the Super Chats, but anything is accepted and appreciated. Um, if you're not already a paid member or subscriber, you should become one so you can join us for members only events. We do those every other Wednesday. So it's not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, we'll have our next one. If you disagree with our TP and would like to come up and have a conversation, you can do so by sending me a message in Discord and I can bring you on to have a conversation. How you do that is my Discord username is the same as the Venmo. So Jen with 2 N's, Deb with 2 B's, the number one. Um, and I can bring that in. So just send me a message. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We got merch. She's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify. Um, and yeah.
Did you cover tomorrow night?
What?
Did we cover that already?
Uh, I don't. I didn't. I think you were still figuring it out, so I didn't say anything.
Okay, so Diava or Diva, if she's here, is shit. What's that guy's name? Who's the guy running against Mike Johnson?
I
Uh,
I put it in our chat. A screenshot from the
all right,
from the
she's gonna have him on, and is it Mike Nichols? Is that who it is?
Matt.
Oh,
She's in Matt Gromlich.
oh yeah, yeah. I think Mike Nichols is the Republican that was running against him. Mike Gromick. So we'll be there on her stream. It's going to be at 6 Eastern. That's just on TikTok. We'll be over there. I don't know who else is going to be involved. She said she's inviting some other creators. I don't know, but I will be there. I also have my daughter that day, and a friend will be over, so I'll be a little distracted, but we'll be over there. And hopefully this goes better than it went with Marianne Williamson.
Yeah. So hey, what happens if you slide down a grassy hill in Spain?
Get a gracias.
Yep, that's
Yes. Yes.
it. All right. So another one then. Uh, did you hear about the guy that had a stutter and went to prison?
I did not. Didn't hear anything about that.
He's afraid he'll never finish his sentence.
It's not nice. It wasn't nice at all. All right. Thank you, Jed. The look of locking in for thank you, my Magda. I was locked in for that one. I love when I get the jokes right. It's my favorite part of the day, and it rarely happens. So, guys, thank you so much for being here. Sorry for the late start. These mornings, I usually have I have my daughter, and so I have to get her off to school, and she's not always super excited to go to school, and I'm really bad at doing hair. And this morning she decided she wanted to wear what she wore yesterday, so I had to wash that. So sorry for the late start this morning. Probably get used to that at least for one more year until she gets a little bit older. But she made it to school. She was on time. That was great. And now I'm ready to go. I also, if you notice, my phone is going absolutely bonkers today. I somehow am on somebody's call list. I have missed how many calls today? 17 calls today. So, can you get some shushies? We need to get back to shushies. So I apologize if I get a little distracted by my phone. I'm just trying to turn it off all the time. My bad. But let's jump right into it. I wanted to play this video. I think it's from PBS News. Let me switch here. Something pretty alarming is happening in our country with consumers, and we should probably have a discussion about it. And PBS News has said, yeah, let's discuss it.
Americans owe more than $1 trillion in credit card debt, up 60% from just 5 years ago. Meantime, higher interest rates make debt even more difficult to pay off. It's a downward spiral, causing credit card delinquencies to surge. Our economics correspondent Paul Salman explains.
For 35-year-old Helena Emanalo, it started innocently enough.
My mother had to move in with us. At the time, it was my husband and I. We had a little baby, and then we had another baby on the way. The amount of people in our house almost tripled in a very short time span, and expenses tripled as well.
To meet them, like so many other Americans these days, she turned to credit cards.
It's very easy to swipe, and, this is an emergency, and everything can be an emergency right now.
Before she knew it,
I accumulated about $20,000 in debt.
Compared to one estimate of average household debt nationwide, about $10,000. But it's the most indebted.
MAGA's probably not here yet, but when MAGA does get here, they're going to start saying the same shit that they say like every single day, which is just don't run up credit card debt, just live within your means. All of that is true. You should not run up credit card debt when you can avoid it. You should live within your means whenever you can. However, the difference between what I believe conservatism and progressive policies are is that progressives deal with reality and conservatives deal in a hypothetical world that doesn't exist. We are at record highs for credit card debt amongst consumers. The fact that credit cards exist with the amount of interest they're allowed to charge is pretty alarming. I think that if somebody ran on capping credit card interest, that would be a good thing to run on. But this is a sign of a problem in our economy, whether you think it's because people spend too much and aren't living within their means, or if you think it's because people can't afford living. I tend to think that it's because most people can't afford to live, and so they have to put money on credit cards. But either way, it's a real problem that needs to be addressed. And I think that I love what progressives are doing, and I hope they move in this direction. We have $40 trillion in debt. We have trillions of dollars in consumer debt. We have mortgage debt. We have student loan debt. We have medical debt, which is the number one cause of bankruptcy. Like, if we really want to make changes in this country, make things more affordable, and make people's lives better, we have to start addressing this shit. And just saying don't spend more than you have it's fun for conservatives because they can dismiss the argument. But I think we're far past the time when you can just keep saying that.
Like Emanalo.
See, there it is. There's Jeff. If you are in debt, it's your fault. What if you get cancer, Jeff? What if you get cancer and your insurance doesn't cover it? Just die? What if your kid breaks their leg and you have a $20,000 deductible, but you don't have $20,000 in cash to pay that deductible, and there's complications, winds up costing you $12,000? What about then, Jeff? If I get cancer, I'm dying. So yeah. I feel like a lot of people feel that way. Don't get cancer, idiot. Why are you out there why are you getting cancer? Jeff, you bought a house with cash? Good question.
Who've driven credit card delinquencies to their highest rate in 15 years. Bankruptcies
Can we just go
up
back there for a
12%
second?
credit card
Looks like we were headed in a kind of a good
Delinquency.
direction on delinquencies here. Looks like under the Biden administration, things were headed in a different direction. Now, I'm not giving Joe Biden credit for that. What I am saying is that the economic recovery of this country was working.
to their highest rate in 15 years. Bankruptcies up 12% in the last year alone.
Once you start adding all of that
Jeff,
up,
run for Congress and talk to your other conservatives and tell them to go out there and spread your message that you should have saved, and if you have debt, it's your fault. Please run on that. That'd be great. We can fix a lot of things if you dumbasses get out of the way.
well, you realize you don't have enough money for daycare, or you don't have enough money to pay your electric bill. And then all of a sudden, things just get unmanageable very, very quickly.
People talk about a debt spiral. That sound familiar?
It does. Yeah, it does. I kind of found myself in like an endless cycle of just like trying to pay something, even though it wasn't making a dent in the overall amount that I owed.
And it's not just millennials and older generation
I
members.
get an email like every day from, I think it's Klarna. And it just tells me every single day different places that now will accept Klarna payments. And they're like, you can get a Klarna debit card. And they offer like you can now use Klarna at Safeway. Klarna's like you can split up payments. That company wouldn't exist if there wasn't a need for that. People are splitting payments for groceries now. That's the world that we live in. And the more, when they talk about a debt spiral, like every time you put stuff on credit, now you're paying extra money each month on interest, and your ability to pay your bills gets more and more difficult. We need to do something about this. And for the conservatives here, Frank, good to see you here. You may want to explain to me why you think 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. We're at all-time highs in credit card delinquencies. Well, not all-time. I think all-time highs since 2008 or 2009 in credit card delinquencies. Credit card debt that people are carrying is at all-time highs. How in the world do you wake up every day and go, don't tax the billionaires? I'll explain this again one more time for MAGA, and I think that we do need to be careful with this, but the reason we want to tax billionaires is so they share wealth, not to redistribute it. Nobody really wants a mechanism where the taxes go in from the billionaires and then it goes out in the form of like checks to people. We want the billionaires, if they want to lower their tax liability, we want that to exist in their corporation, and they can pass those earnings along to people that actually work. Not their investors, not the people who invest in the stock market and get dividends, but to the workers. And so incentivize them to do it. Say you can keep more of your money, you can pay less in taxes, but you've got to pay your workers more. That's all we're really talking about with taxing the rich more. And if you don't think that works, just go back to the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, where your grandparents and great-grandparents had one job and retired. And they had a pension, and they had they could go to the doctor, they could go on vacation, they could send you to college. And then they used some of that tax revenue to pay for state schools. Think of all the things that we've lost in the name of let's lower taxes. We're consistently talking about how out of control college is, and now the conservative tagline is like college is a scam. I don't think that you're necessarily wrong there. I don't think that with the cost of college that you're always wrong. Like if you go, I have a lot of friends who have communications degrees from Utah Valley University. It doesn't get you much. It doesn't guarantee you like a high-paying job. And now I don't know does anybody know that? Does anybody live in Utah Valley what their tuition is annually? I know a lot of people are taking out student loans on that now, and paying that back just isn't really worth it. When my dad went to school and my mom went to school, my dad started at Utah Valley University when it was Utah Valley Technical College. It was free. The state paid for it because he was from Utah. He went to school there for free. He didn't have great grades coming out of high school. He went to Utah Technical Institute. He got decent grades there, and then he transferred to BYU, which was a private school, but really inexpensive private school. And he was able to work part-time and pay his tuition. Name, what school do you think right now you can work part-time and pay your tuition? People talk about this all the time, like, I worked my way through college. Yeah, because you could. What school right now can you afford with a part-time job? That's right. That's socialism. I know. My dad, the conservative. Frank, how did you fuck this up? I just explained to Frank that it's not that we want billionaires to pay the bill. It's that we want them to pay their workers more. And Frank says, there's not that many billionaires to pay the bill. God damn, dude. Frank, I honestly kind of enjoy you, and I'm glad you're here every day. But could you learn something? There he is again. I don't love the rich, but that's not going to save us by taking their money. Frank. We're going to stop for Frank for a second. Frank, we want them to pay their workers more. That's all we want. We want them to pay their fair share. We want to pay their actual tax rate, and we want them to pay their workers more. We don't necessarily need to take all their money, but if we do, we could definitely pay for education. We could definitely pay for healthcare. Stop using arguments that nobody's making. Like, I don't even know who you're arguing with, Frank. That's an argument that somebody gave you. Do I even know the percentage of what, Frank? I want the top marginal tax rate after 15 million to be 90%. Every dollar after 15 million, you should pay 90%. If you don't want to pay that 90%, then keep that in your company and pay your workers more and pay yourself $15 million, $14,999. And then you don't have to pay that 90%. That's where I want it, Frank. Take all the billionaires' money, then you'll end up taking all the millionaires' money. No, you see, Frank, I don't even know why I'm talking to you. Sorry. Frank, we're not trying to take all their fucking money to pay our bills. We want them taxed appropriately so we can pay for services. And the more people that work in this economy and the less debt that they have, the easier it is for us to pay our bills. All we have to do is start taking in slightly more than we spend. The quickest way to do that is to massively cut the military budget and make sure that people, like, even if we didn't raise the tax rate, if we just forced everybody to pay their actual amount that they should owe based on the tax brackets and get rid of the loopholes, we could take in more money than we spend, and we could start paying down the debt slowly. We could do all that, Frank. All this bootlicking for what? Yes, I'm going back to it's the economy, stupid. That's right, Frank. We want a good economy.
Like Emanalo, now caught up in the debt interest whirlpool.
At least be honest, you're a bunch of socialist anarchists. No, socialists aren't anarchists, bud. Communists are like more anarchist. Socialists aren't anarchists. All right, Frank, I gotta ignore you for a while. You're saying too many stupid things.
Huge problem, and it's a specifically huge problem for young people.
Personal finance guru Beth Kobliner first published Get a Financial Life for Young People. Now in its fifth edition.
IMF RCD said in the 50s, tax rates for the wealthy was 80 to 90%. Facts.
30 years ago. The early life debt dilemma since, worse than ever.
We've seen...
Oh, Sully, thank you. Sully said, what goes in dry and hard and exits soft and wet? Bubblegum. Thanks, Sully.
The rate of credit card debt for young people go up about 190% since 2020.
And student debt now near $2 trillion.
Also, big W for Sully there for sending $50 on Venmo.
I checked, it was approximately $17,000.
25-year-old Bridget Klinger.
A lot of what I earn immediately goes to trying to pay off all of this debt every month.
Gen Z has more debt than any other generation in history before it.
Let's talk about how much credit card debt I have, and spoiler alert, it is a lot.
Hey, is there any other 18-year-olds with like $6,000 in credit card debt?
And there's a new debt trap for the young, says Kobliner.
Buy now, pay later is one more example of
RCP is ruining the Democratic Party. Fuck yeah, I am, Frank. Take it down. We're going to take it down. We're going to make it better.
we're calling frictionless finance, which may sound great, but it's actually quite pernicious. In general, getting further and further away from knowing how much we're spending. And sometimes we don't even realize when we're spending. In the last decade, we literally have changed the way we've made purchases. We no longer take out our wallet, use cash, and count out the dollar bills. Nobody does that anymore.
Not Helena Emanalo.
I was doing a lot of buy now, pay later. And when it came time to pay, I was like, oof, I don't have it.
And when that happens,
they say they won't charge you interest. But the problem is, if you're late, you're going to be hit with a big fee.
Bottom line.
All right, Jeff, tell me one person, name one person who has gotten more government assistance than Elon Musk, and then we'll talk about freeloaders, okay? Just name one person that has gotten more government handouts than Elon Musk.
As Kobliner has stressed for decades, if you borrow young, you dig yourself a hole.
With my student debt, my husband's student debt, our car loans, credit cards, it's probably like the amount of a mortgage, like an amount of a current mortgage, like $125,000, $150,000.
So folks like Marjorie San Pietro use credit cards. Their interest rates hitched to credit scores.
Our average credit card rate is about 30%, and that seems frustrating to me. It's kind of predatory.
30%.
That is fucking insane. 30% to lend you money. That is fucking insane. Why can't we? Didn't Trump say he was going to cap credit card rates at 10%? Didn't he write an executive order? Trump executive order credit cards. Didn't he do that? Oh, it was a voluntary request to the major banks. Can you please do it? It was just an announcement. So in January of 2026, Trump called on top banks to enact a temporary 1-year 10% cap on credit card interest rates. Has anybody had their interest rate changed to 10%? Even if you wrote an executive order, it would be unenforceable. So it doesn't really matter. But does anybody have their credit card rate changed to 10? I don't know if any. It's up to 38% now. Jesus Christ.
Which implies a pretty low credit score. And says Emanalo,
if you don't have a good credit score, like you can't buy a house, you can't buy a car.
Loan defaults, bankruptcies, and yet another grim economic statistic setting records these days, low consumer sentiment. Now, President Trump economic advisor Kevin Hassett dismisses its significance.
I actually think that we should stop calling it consumer sentiment and start calling it political sentiment, because the variables it's really a political.
Because really, they're only saying this because they don't like Trump. They are in more debt than ever, and they feel stuck. But actually, the only reason they're saying it is they don't like Trump. We should just call it political sentiment.
This fucking guy. Imagine being somebody who sees Kevin Hassett and you're like, I gotta listen to this guy. This is gonna make a lot of sense.
Variable, not an economic variable.
And yes, says Joanne Shu, who runs the Consumer Sentiment Survey, the results have been a reflection of which party is in power. But recently,
Republicans actually have been showing declining sentiment this year as well. And the current reading from May shows both Republicans and independents at their lowest level.
Absolutely, Frank. I would like the Democratic Party to be absolutely blown the fuck up and start over.
Since the beginning of 2025. People across the political spectrum, they have been feeling less optimistic about the economy over the course of this year.
And come on, says economist Mark Sandy, the reason is obvious for so many Americans.
If you look at real disposable income, that's after inflation, after taxes, it's lower today than it was a year ago. And that's that's economy wide, right? So that means that, stands to reason about half the.
Just a reminder that the terrible socialist countries, Scandinavian countries, almost all have more disposable income left over each month, even though they pay 35 to 50% actual. That's what they actually pay in taxes. And they have more money left over than we do. Why? Because Americans and maybe our education system and our propaganda system is far too strong. And Americans think that they would rather pay more for a service offered by a private entity like health insurance than they would paying that in taxes, even if the taxes are half the price. because they've just been inundated with propaganda that taxation is theft, or that taxation is bad, or government is bad. So you have all these people in Scandinavia like, hey, we're happy, we've got healthcare, we've got more money left over, and we, better working conditions. And over here we're like, yeah, but our tax rate is lower. They're like, yeah, but you don't have any money, right?
No, we don't have any money.
Okay. For like half the country, they don't even pay taxes, like income tax. When all is said and done, they don't pay income tax, and we still don't have money left over. How the fuck does that work out? Nightcrawl, thank you for the gifted subs. Appreciate that over on Twitch. Congratulations to all those who just received a free gifted sub from Nightcrawler.
Population is experiencing outright decline. And so if you've been spending in a certain way for a long time and your income starts to erode, how do you respond to that?
Which brings us back to the subject of this story, consumer debt.
Many people turn to leverage and credit, and the credit card being the best example of that, to help tide things over. But then you get nailed with higher interest rates. Now you're paying 20% interest on whatever you borrowed, and that's like, very, very difficult to get out of.
And deeper.
Justice said my credit score is 805, but the lowest interest I can get is 31%. Jesus Christ. First of all, great job paying your bills. So you're obviously somebody who pays bills. If your credit score is 805, lowest interest rate you can get on, I'm assuming on a credit card, is 31%. Cool.
And deeper you may sink. One final point. In an increasingly K-shaped economy, who's doing the lending?
The folks in the top part of the distribution, the well-to-do, they own lots of things. They have big deposits at banks. They own bonds and stocks. And those deposits...
That's correct, Frank. You are learning stuff. China is not communist. Well done, bud. You're learning.
Savings go to providing the credit that folks in the bottom part of the income distribution, the middle part of the distribution, are using to finance their spending on autos and on a home and other things.
There's an old saw in economics. It's not how much you borrow, but what you do with the money. If you can afford to invest the money, great. But if you can't, and have to borrow to survive, you may find yourself, like so many of our fellow Americans, sucked under. For the PBS NewsHour, Paul Solomon.
All right. Well done there. Just an important reminder. And these are the people that, these are the voters that people are speaking to now. I just don't think that Frank and MAGA friends here, I think if you guys were out campaigning to voters, you would get booed off the stage. And before we get to some of the midterm stuff that happened yesterday in the primaries, I just came across this clip and I wanted to show it. Christian nationalism is real. Christian nationalists know that it's real. And they continue to make this claim that we are a Christian nation with the worst fucking arguments I've ever heard. If you remember when I debated Andrew Wilson, at one point on Raging Tomato, the moderator broke in and was like, no, we are a Christian nation. And they made the argument that even though in the Constitution it says we're not going to establish a religion, the fact that states established religions mean that we were a Christian nation, despite the fact that none of those states now have an established religion. It looks like that was a big mistake. But this is Christ with Us 78. This is some sort of Christian podcast. I can only assume that these Christian men are dog shit human beings. I've never seen a Christian man running a podcast that talks about other people like this that aren't pieces of shit. I'm going to guess they don't believe in women's rights. I'm going to guess they are very opposed to anybody who has a different sexuality to them. Broadly speaking, these are dog shit men. If anybody wants to look them up, I bet you can find Christ with Us 78. I bet you can find dirt on him. So go look it up. See what you can find on this guy. But this reaction to a Katie Couric interview made me laugh this morning.
To get your take on the rise of Christian nationalism in this country and around the world. The University of Massachusetts at Amherst recently released a poll that shows how Americans are feeling with the 250th anniversary of our country.
He is a piece of shit. Do you know who he is, Roly Poly Bello?
That's this week. And happy birthday. There's a huge divide between Democrats and Republicans on the extent to which the U.S. should be a Christian country. Nearly 80% of Republicans believe the U.S. was founded as a Christian nation.
Correct.
72% believe the government should advocate Christian values.
Correct.
54% believe the U.S. should be declared a Christian nation.
Meaning conservatives don't believe in the Constitution. They got to stop talking about it like they do.
And I thought this was
You do? I'm heavy into religion debate, and we all know them? Okay. Yeah, see? Good guess.
really disturbing.
Very disturbing. It's very disturbing.
Another
Christian
public
ideas are so
religion
disturbing.
research institute
Yeah, Christian ideas are disturbing. I agree.
poll found that 56% of Republicans qualify as either adherents or sympathizers of Christian nationalism.
Will you pause, Trinity, real quick? Because we're going to go on and you're going to respond to the next thing. But for people who are listening, whenever you hear the phrase Christian nationalism, that is 99.9% of the time, it's a scare label that's intentionally designed to stigmatize Christians advocating for their values in the public square.
No, it is a label that correctly defines what he's going to explain. That they believe that Christianity is tied to nationalism, and their nationalism is tied to their Christianity, and the two are inseparable. So you decide. It's not a scare tactic. They just think that it's okay. They think it's okay that they tie this together. It is a scare tactic for anybody who's not a Christian, for anybody who doesn't want to live under Christian rule, under Christian law, which I don't want to live under Christian law. We never have lived under Christian law.
So
I also want to point out that it doesn't appear that that he recognizes that the thing that he's accusing others of is exactly, or the others accuse him of, is exactly what he accuses others of.
Essentially, I'll just shoot you really straight. If you put in front of me, and hey, man, your two options are atheistic globalism, like woke secular paganism, or Christian nationalism, I'm going to go, well, heck yes, I'm that one.
Yeah, but that's not your choice, right? This is just your way to be a Christian nationalist and justify it. You have two fucking choices? You have to be what did he say? A pagan globalist, an atheist globalist, or a Christian nationalist? Well, if you make me choose between the two, I'm going to be exactly who I am. You don't have to choose between the two. You could just be a regular ass Christian and live your own beliefs and have a personal relationship with God and not try and force those beliefs on other people and into our laws. Or you can be a Christian nationalist and do the exact opposite of that, where your beliefs are attempted to, or you attempt to force your beliefs into law. He is a person who attempts to force his beliefs into law, making him a Christian nationalist. The thing, Frank, you just described, loving Jesus and loving this country, is not a Christian nationalist. You can be a Christian and a nationalist, but those two things would be separate. Once you combine the two, you are a Christian nationalist. It's not about loving Jesus. It's about forcing what you see as the law given to you by Jesus and making that the law of the land.
So 99% of the time, Christian nationalism is a scare label that what it does is it sort of, it non-verbally says, I, as a secular person.
Who's going to explain what nonverbal is to him? What non-verbally? If someone calls you a Christian nationalist, isn't that verbal?
Am allowed to advocate for my values in the public square, but you as a Christian are not allowed to.
No, it's not about advocating in the public square, because you can advocate in the public square. But if you are advocating in the public square that your religious beliefs become law, then you are a Christian nationalist. In the public square, if you say, I love Jesus and I follow the laws of Jesus, and you should follow the laws of Jesus in your own personal life too, you can do that. However, if you're saying, I am now going to put a law into place that says the 10 Commandments must be displayed in every schoolroom across the state of Texas, you are now a Christian nationalist. You have now forced your religion into the government.
Advocate for your values in the public square, because that's scary Christian nationalism. So really, when you hear that, if somebody goes, hey, Josh, are you a Christian nationalist? I'm like, well, I'm a Christian and I love my nation. If that makes me a Christian nationalist, okay, well, I don't care.
It doesn't.
Whatever. But so this is what she's saying here. I want you to know the play that's being run on you. Yeah. People stigmatized.
What am I missing, Tony Cat? What am I missing then? I'm not listening to him. I'm literally listening to him and responding.
To divide is what. So let's stigmatize the phrase so that we can keep you from advocating for your values in the public square. Which, by the way, we're just going, well.
Can anybody point to a place where Christians are not allowed to advocate for their values in the public square? Can somebody just point to one instance? I can't think of any. Man, I used to knock on people's fucking doors. I'd go bother the shit out of people and knock on their door to sell them Jesus. Door to door. Even people that had like no soliciting signs. There wasn't anything they could do. I just knocked on their door anyways.
God's commands are not burdensome. That's actually what's good for people, societies, that sort of families, all this. So we want that stuff. So now watch what this professor says, and this is what you're going to respond to.
What's going on here?
So, Katie, you've called me professor 3 times already, and I'm going to take that as a license to make a really incredibly boring academic point.
That's correct, Tony. I do not want him to push for policies, legal policies, based on his religion. That's correct. That's what makes a Christian nationalist. Good job. We're on the same page now. That's correct. I don't want Muslims pushing for laws that reflect Sharia law. I don't want Jews pushing laws that would change how we act on Saturday, the things that we're allowed to do on Saturday. I lived in a place where stores, there were dry counties everywhere. There were dry cities everywhere. Stores were closed on Sundays. Like certain cities in my state had stores closed on Sunday because the religious belief, the Mormon belief, was that you do not work on Sunday. So stores, restaurants closed on Sunday. By law in some of these towns, by choice in others. By choice, I'm fine with it, right? Like Chick-fil-A's down the street. They're not open on Sunday. I have no problem with that. If they don't want to be open on Sunday because of their religious beliefs, terrific. Don't be open on Sunday. If they went to and lobbied the city of Mesa and said no stores should be open on Sunday because of our Christian beliefs, I would say getteth, thoueth, fucketh. Goeth and fucketh thyself. You don't get to do that. See the difference? Chick-fil-A does what they want. Cool. If they try and force it on others, not cool.
Which is that, or maybe it's not so boring. Maybe
I just answered your question, 158 Tony Cat. See, we're on the same page. Private companies absolutely can choose to close on Sunday. Absolutely. They can do whatever the fuck they want. Right? The Supreme Court even ruled, and I don't agree with this, but the Supreme Court ruled that Hobby Lobby was allowed to get like religious exemptions in what I think it was Hobby Lobby, right? In what they offered for health insurance because they were anti-abortion. Yeah, private companies get to do kind of what they want. If a private company wants to put a cross on their window, if they want to call it Jesus sandwiches, cool. If you walk in there and there's nothing but crucifixes, and if the sandwiches actually come in a crucifix, cool. You could do all of that. But then if you go into my favorite sub store here called Steve's Crazy Subs, and you say, hey, why aren't your subs cross-shaped? They're like, because that's fucking stupid. And you're like, nah. And then you go and you try and lobby that all subs be cross-shaped. Then I've got a problem with it. Yeah, that works.
it's more fundamental. You also can't do democracy without history. So those views that people hold, some of them are views about the past, and they're wrong. The United States was not. I mean, there are issues on which you can be right and wrong, and this is one where you can be wrong. The United States was not, in fact, founded on Christian principles in any sense. It's simply not true.
Pause.
Okay. This is the best argument for Christians. It's the argument everybody's used. It's the argument Andrew used against me. It's the argument every Christian I've ever talked to about this uses. And this is how you know that Christian nationalists do exactly what I hate. We talked about this yesterday with socialists, communists, capitalists. They start with their ideology and they work backwards. Every time you've seen me debate somebody who is a Christian nationalist, that is my claim to them. You start with your beliefs and you work backwards. And then your answers are only going to be confirmation bias answers. You've decided already what the end goal is. So you're only seeking out answers that confirm your current position. You tell me, let's hear his claim one more time. Let's get this let's get this on the record. And let's make sure we have the claim right here.
Our views about the past, and they're wrong. The United States was not. I mean, there are issues on which you can be right and wrong, and this is one where you can be wrong. The United States was not, in fact, founded on Christian principles in any sense. It's simply not true.
Pause. So I would like you to respond to.
Hey, quick question for the chat, Frank. What year was the United States officially founded? Like when did we declare our independence? What date? What year do we recognize as the founding of our country? Let's see if we can do this. So we're all complaining about is the cost of living and Christians out? Yeah. So far today we've complained about the cost of living And not Christians, Christian nationalists. There's lots of Christians here that aren't Christian nationalists. So Christian nationalists, get that right. 1776, right, Frank? Okay, just remember 1776. And to our chat, maybe not MAGA, do years go in chronological order, or do we just randomly assign years? I believe they go in chronological order. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. So the following year would have been 1777, then 1778, and 1779, I think. 9 out of 13 colonies had in their charter that you had to be a Christian to live there. Boom. Yeah, because states could do it, right? The fact that it wasn't 13 out of 13, or it wasn't just everybody required, shows that states had the right to do that, right? So there was no established religion. Okay, so they are in chronological order. Okay, just want to make sure. So 1776, the founding of our country, we were not founded on Christian principles. Cool.
Hey, Trinity, will you pull up that letter of Thomas Jefferson, or excuse me, of John Adams to Thomas Jefferson? So the picture of the very beginning, it shows John Adams. That's the one. Okay, so in 1813.
Oh, we're going right into
1813. Frank, is 1813 before or after 1776? I'll take your answer off air.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Okay.
So John Adams writes Thomas Jefferson a letter. This is late in life. They're becoming friends again. They had some hardships along the way. And so he writes him a letter. And
John, by the way, John Adams, one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, one of the founders of our nation.
Correct.
Yeah.
First vice president, second president, one of the most significant. In fact, for 250 years that we're celebrating, he's the guy responsible for so much of it. He's the one that nominated that George Washington would be our commander in chief. He's like literally, his fingerprints are on almost everything in the American founding. Super important founding father.
Yeah, and everything that he did, all these things that he did that are in our official founding documents, all of those documents specifically lay out the rules that we are not to establish a religion. His fingerprints are everywhere, and none of his fingerprints say we are a Christian nation.
But he writes Thomas Jefferson. He's like, remember 40 years ago when we were together, we were so young, ambitious. We had so much disagreement. We had all these issues. He said, but when we got together as a group, in the midst of our frustration, we finally found common ground. Now, the letter's like 4.5 pages. I just pulled one sentence from it, but I would encourage people, go read it, because there's literally paragraphs on this. He says, the general principles upon which the fathers achieved independence were the general principles of Christianity.
Yeah, brother, that doesn't say what you think. The general principles on which the fathers achieved independence were the general principles of Christianity. Shared principles. These are called shared principles. Just like me, I think that religion is silly. I have this theory that Jesus was actually just like a charlatan, possibly a gay man. And he had a following of gay men. It's a fun theory. You could throw it out there. When you think about it, it's possible. I believe that there was a person named Jesus. I don't believe he was the son of God. I believe that's a story that his parents told him because his mom was like 13 or 14 years old and they had a baby out of wedlock. And so rather than suffer the consequences of having a baby out of wedlock with a 13 or 14-year-old, they made up the story that God impregnated a 13 or 14-year-old. I can't remember what her age is, somewhere between like 13 and 16, right? Depending on who you look at. But God decided a young girl between 13 and 16 needed to get pregnant and have a baby. And I think they just told Jesus that lie all growing up. And they're like, hey, you're the son of God. And he's like, all right, cool. And then people are like, that's kind of like, you can't really say that, right? You can't say that you're the son of God, and you can't just ignore our laws. And that's why he was ultimately crucified. That's just my theory. Hard to prove any of these theories, but that's every bit as likely as what's in the Bible. I actually think it's a better explanation than what's in the Bible, and I've read the Bible, the New Testament, hundreds of times. But yeah, it sounds about right, doesn't it? Nobody knows. But I have principles. I don't believe you should murder people. Call me crazy. I'm anti-murder. Christians believe in the 10 commandments. One of those commandments is thou shalt not murder. Does that mean that my principles are Christian principles? No, because there's other religions, there's other societies that don't believe in God that also think murder is bad. Just a shared principle. So our founding fathers, who were Christian, shared certain principles. Now, there were Protestants, there were Catholics, there were polytheists, there were pagans, there were all sorts of different religious beliefs between our founding fathers. But what the general principles that they agreed upon were the general principles of Christianity according to John Adams. So John Adams said my shared beliefs that were based on my Christianity were the same principles that we achieved independence with. I don't really know if that's entirely true. I don't think that the Bible is. I don't think the Bible's like the best book to prove that all men were created equal. I don't think that. I think that the Bible is pretty clear that not everybody was created equal. That certain people like had curses on them because of their ancestors. I don't think that the Bible's a great reflection of that. In fact, I would say that that's a kind of an anti-Christian message that all men are created equal. But I love his laughter here. Like he just like they just did something.
Paragraphs on this. He says the general principles upon which the fathers achieved independence were the general principles of Christianity.
That's amazing. So
it's not a real laugh. It's Tucker Carlson's laugh. If you can complete your sentence like right after your laugh, it's probably not a real laugh. It's also not that funny.
Let me contrast these things. The quote from the professor with Katie Couric is the United States was not in fact founded on Christian principles in any sense. That's simply not true. Then John Adams, who founded the nation, is saying the general principles on which the fathers achieved independence were the general principles of Christianity. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not incredible at all. Those are just shared principles. Christian nationalists love a lot of things. Reading past their own beliefs and moving anywhere past confirmation bias is not something that they are known for or good at. So I just want to show that because it kind of annoyed me this morning, and I was convinced that guy sucked. And somebody talk to that guy. If anybody knows that guy, tell him I'd like to talk to him. I'll come on his show if he wants, and I'd like to talk to him about whether or not Jesus and his friends were a group of migrant group of gay men. We'll have that argument. I can make just as compelling an argument as he can that's what Jesus was. Callie said, I'm a Christian and don't back none of this shit. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to mock your guys' religion. I'm just pointing out that you can all have your own beliefs and we should respect that. And if you guys believe Jesus is the Son of God, terrific. We also get to believe what we want to believe, right? That's the whole point of America. I'm a freaking loser. I hear you. I know, bud. All right, let's talk about Donald Trump, your actual Lord and Savior. This was Trump this morning lying out of his ass. Now, I wasn't going to cover this story. There's this story of Trump in Turkey where he was loaded onto a like a food truck. And he was put on a different plane because there was a threat to Air Force One. I think, frankly, there's a lot of people making a big deal out of this. I think every president would have done that. I don't think it's unique to Donald Trump. I think that Secret Service will always put the president above everybody else. So the fact that they flew Air Force One without Trump in it and they're calling that a decoy plane, you can be opposed to that, but I don't think that's unique to Trump. I think every president would have done that. They would have been forced to do that. I don't think this was necessarily his call. And that would be an acceptable answer for Trump. But the problem is that people are calling Trump a pussy, and that bothers Trump. And Trump can't explain what happened. He has to respond to people calling him a pussy. So instead of just being honest about like, hey, Secret Service told me I had to go on a different plane. There was a threat against me. We thought they were targeting Air Force One. So we went through all this process to make it look like I was on Air Force One, even though I wasn't. He instead says this.
Air Force One still flew out of Turkey.
But they would have told the passengers? I don't think so. I don't think they would have told the press because the press are the passengers there, and that story would have leaked. You can disagree with me on that. I don't, I've never worked for the Secret Service. It just seemed like it's not unusual for the presidents to fake like they're on one plane and be on a different one. I know Bush did it when he flew into Afghanistan. I know Clinton did it. I don't remember where he was flying out of. And I think Bush 1 did it as well.
Air Force One still flew out of Turkey with press and with White House officials on it. How much is
Well, this one went over to England,
yeah,
where it was shown to the
but was
soldiers.
it still at risk, even No, I know, but this one went over to England because the soldiers wanted to see it. Right, and it stopped, and they showed it to the soldiers, and we did a switch over there. And it was really as per the military, and I just have to do what they say. They go for safety, and I have to do what they say.
Why was it too dangerous for you to fly on Air Force One, but not too dangerous?
This is the part I liked. So he should have left it there. That's the right answer. Why was it too dangerous for you to fly on Air Force One? And now, because they're calling him a pussy, he has to say this.
On Air Force One, but not
I don't know. I think actually the plane that I flew on was at greater risk.
Why do you say that?
Greater risk because that would be the plane I think that they would be more likely to go for.
Actually, I sacrificed for them. I flew on a plane that was more dangerous because that's the one they would go for. He just has to act tough. The draft dodger in chief has to act tough. Like I said, I wasn't going to touch this story. I mean, we can say it's fucked up. He didn't tell the press. I could very well be wrong on this. I did research a little bit. I do know that other presidents have done this. I don't think that they would. I don't think any president would have told the press. I think they would have kept this under wraps. I don't think that they're happy that this story is even getting out. I do think that we do that. Like, we protect the president over everybody else. We will sacrifice lives in the name of the president. That's what we always do. If I'm wrong, DM me. You can explain it to me. Maybe there's something I'm missing. But I don't think that is the big part of the story. I don't even think it's that big of a story. I just liked that Trump couldn't handle being called a pussy, so he told that story. Actually, it was far more unsafe for me. I was very brave. I'm a big brave boy. He needed a snack. I wonder if all the food, he was in that food cart for a while. I wonder how much of that food got eaten while he was in there. I don't want them to tell the press, but don't put them on the plane. Well, I think they have to fly on a plane, right? I don't know. I mean, yeah, whatever. You're probably right, but I don't think it's unusual. Maybe we shouldn't be putting the president's life and value the president's life more than everybody else. I probably agree with that, but I think every president would have done that, and it's the Secret Service making that call, and they're always they're trained. You prioritize the president. You sacrifice everybody but the president. All right, cool. Moving on. Okay. Before we get into midterm stuff, I don't know what happened, but Donald Trump is notorious for just repeating things that aren't true to get people to believe it. I think this is the ultimate sign that things are not going well at all, because Trump just said all of these lies in succession. And this must just be a message to his base. Guys, turn off the news, turn off reality. Everything's fine.
Fantastic time in Ohio. The country's doing well. The stock market's fantastic record. We have 79 records so far in a short period of time. More people are working right now in the United States than ever before, and prices are dropping fast. Iran is going fine.
Because Iran is going fine.
It's absolutely fine. We
It's
totally
absolutely
control the Strait of Hormuz. We have control over it. Nobody else, only us. Our Navy is unbelievable. And things are going great for our country. Go ahead.
It's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's perfect in Iran. We control the Strait of Hormuz. Don't look at anything else. It's just all fine. Everybody, we're fine. Yeah, it's fine. We're out of ammunition. We're running out of missiles. We can't complete this war. We don't control the Strait of Hormuz. For whatever reason, we can't seem to get Iran to back down. It's not fine. It's not going well. It's going very, very poorly. And he's just like, I got to tell my people because they'll believe anything. I bet that worked, huh, Frank? Frank, do you feel better now that he said that? Frank, you've asked the same question about how socialism would work without nationalism. Let me tell you. You can have social programs and not be a nationalist. Do you know what nationalism is, Frank? Give us your definition of nationalism. Are you just saying that socialism can't exist without a nation? Is that what you're saying? Because if that's what you're saying, you don't have to love your country and to be a fan of socialism. You can hate the country and have socialism. You can do any of that. It's fine. But again, I don't have a problem with nationalism. I have a problem with Christian nationalism. When President Trump plans his own assassination, he is strong, brave, and defiant. When he doesn't, he cowers in the back of a catering truck. Well done, Nunya. I like that. I like that a lot. That's just a theory. We're not saying that. TikTok, don't take us down. Okay, this is John Feely. He is the former ambassador to Panama, and the only reason I'm showing this clip is because I don't know a fucking thing about John Feely, but I wish there were more John Feelys in this world. Far too many people overlook the insanity of Donald Trump, and so the insane things he does often don't get reported, or people just ignore them because they think they're doing something for the good of the country. John Feely was the former U.S. ambassador to Panama, and this is him describing his first meeting with Trump, and which ultimately he resigned. But this was one of the big reasons he resigned. And it's important to point out once again that Donald Trump is not a smart man. The only people who think Donald Trump is a smart man are people who are not smart. So he seems smart. He may be smarter than you, but he's actually pretty dumb. What is my actual beef with Christianity? I have no beef with Christianity. I have a beef with people who take their Christianity and try and force it into law. If you practice Christianity on your own, in your own churches, in your family, in your community, cool. But when you start putting rules from your book into our laws, I have a problem with it. That is my problem with Christianity. Personally, on a personal level, because my friends are Christian, I have family members who are Christian. On a personal level, I think all religion is silly. I think it's all like impossible to prove, and in many cases, like Christianity, verifiably untrue. I think it's silly. I think it's pointless. I think it's a waste of time. I think it's a way to make people feel good about things that they don't understand or realities they don't want to confront or address. And I recognize that for a lot of people, that is a good thing. A lot of people live their life differently, don't want to address reality. But for me, Christianity was a negative on my life. It created an atmosphere inside of me and around me of something. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term scrupulosity, but scrupulosity it doesn't only exist in religion, but it basically is people who are tied to a set of principles, ideals, and rules, and any deviance from that rule creates like an actual internal struggle that becomes self-destructive. And so I was in a high demand religion, so simple things. Like if I jacked off, I would feel guilty about that for days on end. If I drank an energy drink, if I drank coffee, if I had a glass of wine, if I smoked some weed, I felt guilty about that for days. And that internal struggle fucks you up. It really, really fucks you up. And some people can get to a point in Christianity where they've just accepted that those are the rules that they live, and that internal struggle no longer exists because those things are not a part of their life. And I respect that. But for many other people, the tenets of Christianity create an internal struggle and sometimes a societal struggle that are really problematic. I lived in a community where 97% of the people around me shared the same religion. I went to a massive high school where I knew of 3 people who didn't share my religion. And those 3 people were ostracized, looked down upon. And the people who didn't follow the rules of Mormonism, those like for me as a young man, when you turned 19, you left for 2 years and you went on a mission. If you did not leave for 2 years and go on a mission, if you chose to not do that, it was very, very difficult to find somebody to date. Women would not date you. They would not marry you. If you left the religion, women were taught from a young age, and men as well, do not marry somebody outside of your religion. And so it ostracized a lot of people. So I just think on a personal level, I think all religion is silly. But in a society, when you start imposing it in that way, I think it is destructive. And I think it creates a monster that is hard to control once a certain amount of the population is involved in it. And so, does that answer your question? Crimea River? Okay, sorry. I won't answer your questions anymore. What's your thought on this? Here's my thought. Oh, I'll cry about it. Okay.
The first and only time that I ever met President Trump, I walked into the Oval Office, and I had briefed presidents before, and I knew what the sort of standard routine was. And he looks up at me, and the very first thing he says to me is, "So you're my ambassador in Panama. What do we get from Panama?" That's what he asked me. We got the world's largest economy and the most powerful military. Panama's a country of 4.5 million people. It's got no military. And he wants to know what we get. I was prepared for it. I immediately slipped into New York cabbieese thinking that he didn't want to hear State Department palaver. And I said, what do we get, Mr. President? Let me tell you what we get. If you bought an iPhone or a widescreen TV on the East Coast of the United States and you got it at the lowest price possible because where it was made to the time it was delivered to a port on the East Coast of the U.S. came at the lowest possible cost because it went through the Panama Canal, that's what we get from Panama. And he looks at me and he goes, huh, who knew? I kid you not, man. That's what he said. Who knew?
You got it, running man. Who knew? I did not know that. And then what did he do? He forced to sell to, is it BlackRock? He went after the Panamanians and tried to force them to sell and take over the Panama Canal. Remember that? He didn't know. Once he found out that it was a good thing, he's like, we should own that.
And that's one of the things that contributed to my, I mean, all joking aside, that contributed to my unease about continuing to be his personal representative. This is a man who is so fundamentally ignorant, who is surrounded by people who are not ignorant, but who in their presentation towards a region that I dedicated.
That's one of the parts of this Trump administration that I've never understood. Or how can you be around somebody, like, how can you be an intelligent person and be around somebody so profoundly stupid and continue to pretend that that person is intelligent? Like, just on a personal level, I don't know how you do that. I would be embarrassed to be linked to Donald Trump. Imagine, like, hearing Donald Trump say the things that he says, the stupid remarks he makes on a daily basis, the anti-factual things that he says on a daily basis, and then be like, he's really intelligent. I just can't do it. I think, like, I guess maybe that's why I wind up streaming alone here. But I couldn't do that. I'm not going to kiss somebody's ass who's an obvious fucking idiot just to appease a bunch of fucking idiots who voted for him.
About 30 years of my life to have such a fundamentally superficial view. And it boils down to, what do we get from these guys?
Yeah. All right, last thing before we get to the elections. This is a article from the Military Times, and this is troubling. Keep in mind, there's no fucking reason to be at war with Iran right now. None. Zero. Zip. We have never. They have never given us any evidence that Iran was close to a nuclear weapon. We have nothing that says we should have invaded them. We just did it because Israel said so. At this point, I don't even think. Is anybody even arguing that anymore? Is anybody arguing that this is a legitimate and justified war anymore? Do we still have MAGA here that are like, this is what we want. This is what we need to do. But according to the Military Times here, multiple USS Abraham Lincoln sailors have tried to go overboard amid extended deployment. Annabelle Loma has spoken with her husband only a few times since he attempted to jump overboard from the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln during his current deployment. Communication has been difficult to come by, and he is now on medical hold. Loma, who lives in San Diego, said her husband had been repeatedly overextended before he tried to jump from the carrier. He's scared, Loma said. He thinks he'll get a dishonorable discharge, and just because he was burnt out, his 13-year career is ruined. Just like that. It's not fair. It's not right. That's not what he should be worrying about right now. Loma said he initially received a call from the ship's ombudsman. I don't know what that is. What's a ship's ombudsman? The ombudsman. Where's our military people? An independent, neutral official appointed to investigate and help resolve complaints between individuals and an organization. Okay, cool. Where were we? After the incident, but has not heard from anyone with the Navy in recent weeks. Lincoln's roughly 5,000 sailors and Marines remain on a deployment that began on November 21st. The carrier has been deployed for more than 8 months while supporting U.S. military operations in the Middle East against Iran, again, for literally no fucking reason. The deployment, which was anticipated to end in May, has been extended with no publicly announced return date. Give him the banner. Is the George Bush banner still around? The mission accomplished banner? Throw it up there. And then stay for 20 more years. In a separate incident aboard Lincoln, a sailor on watch saw a shipmate preparing to go overboard, and he intervened, according to the sailor's wife, Maria Rodriguez. Rodriguez said her husband called out to the sailor before reaching the individual and grabbing their arms, pulling them onto the deck. Her husband told her the sailor had not yet gone over the side when he got there. 3 other sailors heard the commotion and came running to help. Rodriguez's husband told her about the incident several days after it happened. He said he hadn't felt adrenaline like that in his life, and he was just so thankful he was able to get the sailor in time to stop them from going overboard. She did not know what happened to the sailor afterward. Separately, Stars and Stripes reported Tuesday that sailors described an incident in which watchstanders stopped a crew member from jumping overboard. Stripes reported that the crew was informed about the incident through a ship-wide announcement. More than 200 family members attending a meeting in San Diego last week with Acting Secretary of the Navy Hung Kao during that's a whole sentence. During a separate virtual meeting later that evening, families raised concerns about sailors' mental health, exhaustion, and safety, according to recordings of the meeting reviewed by MS Now. Vice Admin Joseph Cahill, commander of the Naval Surface Forces, acknowledged the strain on sailors and their families during the virtual meeting. Once again, why the fuck are we there?
The true cause of the war will not be known for some time. No, we know. We know. We're at war because Israel said, let's go. And Donald Trump said, okay. They said, they've got a nuke. And he's like, they do? Yeah, they do. Show us. Nah. Okay. We'll come with you. That's been confirmed by Marco Rubio, by the way. I don't want to hear a fucking argument against that. They've changed now, but Marco Rubio, like a week after it happened, came out publicly and said, look, Israel said we're going with or without you, so we went with them because they're our friends. It's been confirmed. That's why we did this, because Israel said so, and Israel turned out to be wrong, just like they were wrong about the weapons of mass destruction, just like they were wrong on Osama bin Laden being in Afghanistan. Israel just keeps dragging us into shit. We hear you loud and clear regarding the impact this has on families, on service members, and the long-term ability for us to sustain our forces' health, Cahill said. Cahill described deployment resilience counselors and chaplains aboard warships, along with human factors councils designed to review factors affecting sailors' well-being and identify related risks. The Navy has said Lincoln's leadership is continuously assessing sailors' psychological readiness and that the carrier has access to counselors, chaplains, medical professionals, and other support services. The Navy did not provide a precise number of sailors who have attempted to go overboard or engaged in self-harm aboard Lincoln during the current deployment. Shelby Sanders, whose mother is serving above Lincoln, said connecting has been difficult over the past 8 months. When her mother does manage to send a note, Sanders said she can tell she's struggling. When she can email me, she's definitely down. I think they've had 5 weeks of nonstop combat operations or something like that, so that makes it really tough to communicate consistently or even know if we'll be able to. It sucks. Fine if it's a real war. Fine if it's like if you're protecting America. They're not. They're over there blowing up innocent people for no fucking reason, and families are struggling. Why? How are they doing on TRT? I'm sure they are heavily TRT'd. Sanders is preparing to begin her senior year of high school without knowing whether her mother will be home for the milestones that normally mark the year. I don't know how to enjoy starting my senior year when my mom isn't here, you know? Will she be back before homecoming, my birthday, Christmas? I have no idea, and that's all I think about. Manuel Guevara, whose son is serving aboard Lincoln, said he sounded exhausted, down, and worried about the last time they spoke. Us being out there keeps wars out of our country, but it sucks having your family away. No, it doesn't. And I appreciate that they say this, and I appreciate the patriotism of Manuel Guevara, and I appreciate the members of our military who signed up for the military to protect us, but this is in no way protecting us. I appreciate that level of patriotism. I'm not gonna mock them, but they're wrong. This isn't helping us at all. In fact, it's just putting more service members in danger. Every time we deploy to the Middle East, it's just putting people's lives in danger. And we're getting no benefit. T-Money, I already talked about the Trump thing. Sorry, you were late. You can rewind. It makes the homecoming that much sweeter, but the uncertainty of when that day will come starts to eat away at you. The Navy father said it's difficult to stay focused when he hears about problems aboard the ship and knows his son is worried about day-to-day circumstances such as eating, doing laundry, and having adequate living conditions. I don't want to worry that the circumstances of this deployment will get the best of my son and he doesn't make it back home. That's an unbearable burden on my heart. Yeah. Imagine just having your kid over there for no reason. Like, man, I hope he makes it. I hope the Iranians don't figure out a way to hit him. Exactly, Robert. Bring them all back home. What the fuck are we doing? The only reason we haven't returned is because Trump has an ego. Trump can't lose.
So he's just like, we're just going to stay here and put everybody in harm's way. The Navy's preparing the USS Teddy Roosevelt carrier strike group to relieve Lincoln. Officials have not provided a timeline, however, citing operational security. Meanwhile, Loma is caring for the couple's 3 children, and her husband remains in medical hold. I'm trying to keep a happy face for our kids. They're little. They miss their daddy. They just want to know mommy and daddy are okay, so I can't just worry and break down, even though I want to, every single day. Would you want the U.S. to look weak and pull out? Yes. Who cares? What's the alternative? Nuke Iran to look tough? Guys, we got to look tough. It's super important to look tough. I could give a fuck if people think we're weak. Everybody already thinks we're weak. The amount of times Donald Trump has threatened to annihilate Iran and then backtracked on it, he looks weak. He is weak. He's a deteriorating blob. He's the weakest president we've ever had. And we just came from Joe Biden, who was, for his age, doing well physically. But yeah, we already look weak. I think that it would look like he conceded. I think he would look weak, but I think it would make America look strong, because I think it would appear that Americans put so much pressure on the president to come home that the American people were stronger than this orange blob sitting in the Oval Office. You guys are so concerned about whether or not Trump looks weak. You forget that you all look like bitches. He's making you look like bitches. He's making us look like bitches. He's making our military look like bitches. Can you imagine? What do you think the rest of the world thinks? Like, they can't take Iran? What do you think China thinks right now? You think Russia and China are like, uh-oh, watch out for the United States military? No, they're like, God damn, pretty easy to thwart this guy. Pretty easy to thwart Pete Hegseth. They all look like fucking idiots. And yet, thank you, Fender Funk. Iran knows this. Iran knows that eventually they're going to cave. So Trump, every day Trump keeps going with this, he delays the inevitable. If I was an advisor to Donald Trump and I cared about him saving face, I would say, hey, you should step away from this. But what you should say is, mission accomplished. We took out their enrichment facilities. It's going to take forever for them to rebuild that. We'll be watching. We're getting out of here now. Mission accomplished. And if they want us to never attack again, they need to come to the negotiating table. And then Iran would come to the negotiating table. They've already agreed that they're not going to have nuclear weapons. They agreed before the war. They agreed during the JCPOA. They agreed after the JCPOA. They agreed before we attacked. They agreed in the ceasefire. They have agreed to not develop nuclear weapons every step of the way for decades now. And we attack them because they want to get nuclear weapons. Yeah. Trump's a bitch. He'll look like a bitch. But that's okay. Why do you guys care more about Trump than you care about like our service members? He didn't have the courage to serve. I didn't have the courage to serve. I care about their safety. I don't think these kids that we're talking about in San Diego need to lose their parents. I don't think that these kids need to have a dad who's so fucking depressed that he almost jumped into the ocean. I don't think we need that. I'd much rather focus on the people here at home. No attacks. Iran doesn't attack us. They only attack us when we're in their shit. Get out of their shit. They'll stop attacking. There is absolutely nothing that I've ever seen that leads me to believe I am in danger by Iran. No matter where you live in this country, Iran is not a threat to you. You know when Iran is a threat to you? When you join the military and invade some country in the Middle East. Then Iran is a threat to you. But until you join the military and invade the Middle East, you're good. They're not going to do shit to you. I think it's like I honestly believe this is just Islamophobia and worshiping Donald Trump and not ever being okay with Donald Trump being wrong. Just gonna go to the grave with this. All right, now let's get into the midterms last night. Let's start with Fox News. Frank, you might want to listen. Fox News is slowly realizing that just saying commie doesn't work. And just a reminder, guys, we are crowd-funded. I know Jen's been beating you guys up in the chat. We don't have ad revenue because of the topics that we cover on this show. We have paid memberships that you can do to help us out either on YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok. But the overwhelming majority of our revenue comes from you, the viewers. And so if you have the means to help us hit our gift goal every single day, that's how we keep the lights on. That's how we pay our bills. We have Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, which are in the top left corner, as well as Super Chats. Our preferred way is either Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal because they take less. Or if you want to do Super Chat, they take about 30%. And then, of course, on TikTok, we are throttled like crazy. I think we've had like 10... I've had to appeal 10 different things, but if you gift and you share, that keeps us alive. As per usual, Johnny D and La Ra Lee are the top gifters, with Eve, Plants on the Spectrum, LLM Degrader, and Glenna and Dolphin rounding out the rest. So thank you guys so much for your support. If you are able to contribute, we would greatly appreciate that. Amy says, fuck Frank Fund. It also sent a Dollar Train and then said, preventing nukes isn't even the goal anymore. And now Iran said they'll come take They'll come to the table the day the new president comes into office. Jen says, fuck Frank, let's start a Dollar Train again. Take that, Frank, man. Hey, at least you're getting fucked, though. Not in the way you probably wanted, but, you know, people are fucking you. That's pretty cool. Congratulations, Frank. A big day for you. All right, here's Fox News admitting that just yelling commie into the wind might not work.
But, of course, the real big...
This is only coming out of my left headphone, so if you don't hear it, switch to the left side or maybe put it on speaker.
Story today are these races where you have this ongoing fight between the Democrats, old school Democrats, or not even old school, but regular Democrats, the establishment of the party, and these total wacko commies. And one of the problems with that is that, you know, conservatives have been just sort of yelling commie at these people. Republicans have been yelling commie at these people, just calling them communist and not actually addressing a lot of the underlying concerns.
There's a reason for that. Because if you go after their policies, you're fucked because they're super popular. Getting money out of politics, it's like a 90-10, it's not even a 90-10 issue. If I walked out on the street today and just interview, and I live in Republicanville, I live in Andy Biggs' fucking district. I could walk into any building in Mesa, Arizona today with a camera and say, do you think we should get money out of politics? And every single person would be like, yes. Who's running on that? The Democratic Socialists. Who's not running on that? Fucking everybody else. Single-payer healthcare, not near as popular as getting money out of politics, but overwhelmingly popular. And if you're against it, which we've seen here, like the only reason you're against it is commie, socialism. You're up against a rock and a hard place, and Fox is realizing this too. Like, just saying commie doesn't work because not everybody lived through the fucking Red Scare and the Cold War, so people don't even remember what the problem is. And then. If you're not going to call them commie, you got to attack their ideas, but good luck. The ideas are very popular. We're going to help people pay for childcare. We're going to help people pay for healthcare. We're going to get money out of politics. We're going to make our elections more competitive. Good luck attacking those. We want less competitive. We want healthcare to remain completely unaffordable. We don't want you to have childcare. We want money in politics. What are we going to do if our politicians can't take bribes? So it's the only thing you have. Yelling commie and socialism. Like, here it is. Watch the chat. All day today, watch the chat. The criticism is going to be, I'm a loser, mom's basement, commie, socialist, Marxist, and then they'll throw in fascist too because they don't know what that word means either.
That a lot of voters have, particularly young voters who are struggling, especially with the economy, and you have to give them more answers than just yelling commie at them. Look at right now. But of course, the real big...
All right. Now let's get to my favorite story of the day. But first, big W for Glenna over on PayPal. Glenna said, thank you for all that you do. Sent $50. Thank you, Glenna. Axe said, fuck Frank fun ×2. And Fender said, for fucking Frank. So, well done, Frank. You're getting it today. That's kind of cool, right? Dude's just like a church. I'll preach to you, but you got to put something in the plate. It's true. Mark, that's good. The only difference is I'm not guaranteeing salvation, and I'm not pretending that the money is going towards me building up the kingdom of God. I'm just being honest. It pays my bills. Unlike church, where they're like, the Lord has commanded you to give this money to build up the kingdom of God, and then they fly away on a private jet. That's the difference. If you know, I mean, you can do the math yourself. I'm not killing it. I'm not making a fortune here. Okay, either is Jen. So you can do the math. We don't ask for that much. All right. Let me show this story. I don't know, Republicans, how you're going to tell me that your party's not racist based on this story here. So Trump endorsements have been in the Republican Party. It's been like, if you get endorsed by Trump, you win. We saw it in Texas, where you had a good, by Republican standards, candidate in John Cornyn, and you had one of the worst candidates in the history of candidates in Ken Paxton. And Cornyn was dominating Paxton, and then Trump's like, go vote for Ken Paxton, and then Ken Paxton won. Trump has a lot of power. The one thing Trump can't do to Republicans is make them less racist and less Islamophobic. Let me introduce you to Amir Hassan. He was running to represent, as Donald Trump said, the fantastic people of Michigan's 8th congressional district. That's him right there. He was raised Muslim. He is a devout Christian. He publicly says he's a devout Christian. But that name, Amir Hassan, you'll see here in the results, he didn't win. He lost. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, he probably lost because whoever Smith is had better. It wasn't a racism thing. Smith obviously had good ideas. He was somebody established, maybe, that everybody knew. He ran a great campaign. He was out knocking on doors. He was with the people. He was speaking directly to the people, and that's how he beat Hassan. So it's not Trump's fault. Trump picked Hassan, but man, he ran up against this good candidate. This good candidate's name is Tom Smith, and we'll get to him in a second. But first, let me show you. People started criticizing Amir Hassan. They're like, hey, bro, we're not voting for you. You're a Muslim. So he had to put out a car selfie video to explain how he wasn't Muslim to Republicans. He had, like, you guys aren't Islamophobic, for sure. But he had to put out this video because he was seeing polling numbers. He's like, uh-oh, I better make sure they know I'm not Muslim.
I just want to clear a couple things up, and especially to the new followers we have. My name is Amir Hassan. I'm born and raised in Flint. My whole family has been here for hundreds of years. I'm not an immigrant. Secondly, I'm 100% Christian.
I'm not an immigrant, and I'm Christian, is something you have to say if you are a black or brown person running as a Republican. I promise I'm not one of the bad ones. I know that most black and brown people and immigrants and Muslims are the bad ones. I'm not one of the bad ones. I'm a good one. Look, I converted. I'm one of you now. Stacey said, amazing how many people use democratic socialist as a scare word when FDR, a great president by almost any measure, would be considered a DSA today. True. God bless FDR.
Now, for those of you who want a cookie cutter, perfect politician, that's not me. That's not what I aim to be.
Triggered lips? No. This triggered MAGA. I think this is funny. MAGA was triggered. He had to put this out because MAGA was triggered. They're like, what the fuck are we doing? Donald Trump endorsed a black Muslim? He's like, hey, my family's been here for hundreds of years. Never mind the implications of how his family has been here for hundreds of years. Like, don't think too much about that. It's 2026. Hundreds is plural. So 1826 at the earliest. Don't think about that. Don't think about that at all. Don't think about how his family has been here for hundreds of years, okay? Don't think about that. But also, I'm a Christian, not one of those scary Muslims.
Real things, lived a real life. I've rebelled. I've been anti at times. I've tried different things. I've studied other faiths.
You bitch. You bitch. Other faiths, there is only one true God. We don't really know his name, and some of us think that Jesus and him are the same guy. Some of us think that Jesus, him, and the Holy Ghost are the same guy, and they manifest differently. It's like an egg, right? You got the shell, the white, and then the yolk, but it all is together as one. That's what the Trinity is. And other people are like, no, they're three distinct individuals. God, the Father, Jesus, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, which is the Spirit. But there are three distinct individuals. Never mind all of that, okay? He's a Christian. He's a good, assimilated, Christian conservative man.
Be led back to my truth. It led me back home. It led me back home to Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. So when I say I'm 100% Christian, that means he saved me even when I chose to go a different path. He stayed with me. He walked with me. I have a praying mother, praying grandmother, family, and I'm proud to say it. So You can believe what you want to believe.
Remember, he's speaking to MAGA. He's speaking directly to MAGA people who were like, fuck this guy. He's an immigrant and he's a Muslim. Daniel said, support RTP. Thanks, Tim. Thanks for joining the dollar train. Stacy, thank you. Laura said, I bought a fuck Trump stamp, and when I get frustrated with this administration, I go to my recycling trash and stamp the hell out of any boxes in there. Laura said, Antifa dues.
But believe me, I'm not the great deceiver.
Oh, is it?
The great deceiver is the ones breaking up the families.
That means somebody called him the great deceiver. One of the criticisms against him was he was the great deceiver, simply because of his name, really, and what he looks like. And he had to make this video. I'm not the great deceiver. The real great deceiver is the one breaking up families. Again, he's speaking to you, MAGA. This is your guy. Well, he's not your guy, but he's trying to be your guy.
The great deceivers are the ones that have you so angry at symbolism that you forego what real representation looks like. The great deceiver is the one that has you looking at the government to give you a better life, except for looking at the God-given talents and abilities you've been blessed with. So as we proceed, and
kind of a weird thing to say when you are applying for a government job to pay your bills. It's a weird thing to say. The real deceiver is the one that tells you to have the government provide you a living. What are you trying to do there, bud? I'm trying to work for the government. Oh. So maybe you are the great deceiver. I don't know.
As I proceed on my campaign, there's a few things you have to understand. I represent my district. I represent my family. I represent Christ. And I represent conservative values because I'm proud to be a conservative. I'm proud to be an American.
All right.
I'm proud to be who I am.
Hell yeah, brother.
I love y'all. I'll see you soon.
I love you too. Brittany said for the Frankfurter Fund. And by the way, sorry. I searched I searched for 20 or 30 minutes. I used Perplexity. Remember, this man lost after being endorsed by Donald Trump. You can see him everywhere. You can see him on stage with Donald Trump. I could find exactly one video of Thomas Smith. And this was him briefly appearing at a Michigan GOP Unity event. I always forget her name. What's her name? She's the one that's always out there talking about transing your kids. I don't know why I never remember her name. Maybe that's a little internal misogyny. I apologize for that. Why can't I remember her name? Somebody help me with her name. Anyways, I know that we're limited on time, but I'm going to play his entire speech, okay? Because I want you to know what Thomas Smith, who won, who was a great candidate, is all about. Lisa McClain, well done, Bruce Wayne's mother. Here's what Thomas Smith is all about. Again, I apologize, but I want to play it in its entirety so that you guys can see why he won.
Tom Smith, and I'm running for the 8th Congressional District to unseat Communist Comrade Rivet. And I'll need your help to do it. Thank you. Tom.
It's 13 seconds. It's the whole thing. It's the whole thing. You just want to watch it again?
Tom Smith, and I'm running for the 8th Congressional District to unseat Communist Comrade Rivet. And I'll need your help to do it. Thank you.
That's what I could find. What I also found was a handwritten note. This is a handwritten note that he wrote. Here it is. Dear FEC Inspector, this is to notify you that Tom Smith for Congress was a late entry into the race for Michigan's 8th Congressional District and has raised only $1,850 through June 30th. We therefore, per your email to us on July 9th, will not file a report until the next deadline for filing Thomas J. Smith candidate. P.S. I could not file this form electronically because I have had no success logging in and have not been able to get a response from the help desk. After this, riveting Tom Smith dropped the fuck out. He dropped out. Nobody knew him. Nobody knew who he was. He raised $1,850 and he dropped the fuck out. And then he got 50% of the vote against the Trump-endorsed candidate because his name is Tom Smith and the other guy's name is Amir Hassan. And he fucking won. He didn't even have a party. He wasn't even ready to win. And now he's trying to figure out what the fuck to do because he quit like 3 weeks ago. And now he's like, God damn it, I won. This is incredible. My message of their communists must have been so inspiring that they ran to the polls to vote for me, Tom motherfucking Smith. Yeah. Don't ever, not one of you ever again gets to, we're not Islamophobic. We're not racist. We like ideas. We're independent voters. We vote for the MAGA agenda. No, you don't. No, you fucking don't. Because this dude couldn't figure out how to use the internet. And then quit. And then beat the guy that Trump endorsed. In your party, where a Trump endorsement means fucking everything, Trump gave you Ken Paxton. But the one thing he can't overcome is a black guy with a Muslim name. And you're like, no. We can't do this. And there you have it. You've got Tom Smith. This is a real fucking problem. This was at a Trump rally. This is I forget his first name, Lombardo. And this was as they're announcing like the Trump accounts. He's here. There was an officer that was shot, and the last name of the officer is Abdel Nabi. Nobody knows who that is, but they recognize that name sounds Muslim. And I want you to see this clip.
So I know Pastor Tice spoke about Officer Abdel Nabi a few moments ago. No, we're not booing. We're not booing him. He's the officer that passed away here recently.
Listen, I'm laughing because it's MAGA, right? Because they're stupid. It's gross. I agree. I'm laughing at everybody who's like, we're not a racist party. We're not Islamophobic. They just heard a name that sounded, I don't even know if Abdel Nabi, is that even like a Middle Eastern name? Is that? I don't even know. Abdel Nabi origins. Look at that. All right, it's Arabic. Yeah, okay. So they were right. It means servant to the prophet. That's a cool name, actually. They just boo. No. We back the blue. Fuck.
I asked if we had a moment of silence, and he said we had not. So I would like your indulgence for a moment of silence for Officer Austin.
All right.
Thank you.
Honestly, I did kind of forget that Mike Lindell was running for the GOP nomination for governor in Wisconsin, right? Wisconsin? Is it Wisconsin or is it Michigan? All those states are the same. I don't care what you say. Minnesota. Missed all of it. Not Michigan, not Wisconsin, Minnesota. There we go. Anyways, he didn't win. Shocker, he didn't win. And even less shocking, it was rigged. Phoenix said, Michigander here. Tom raised $2,000 in campaign funds and has 97 followers on his Facebook page. And he beat the Trump endorsed. Also, Minnesota, Michigan, and Wisconsin are all the same state. Sorry, I don't know what it is. I got a blind spot up there.
Okay, you have more than one poll a week ago. Okay, 7%, 9%, and 9% favored by me. If you look up here, you've got a 15% or 13% the other way. These numbers don't happen in elections. They don't. You guys.
They always happen in elections where now the Republican Mike Lindell is arguing the polls are always correct. The polls should reflect the final results.
These are the power of numbers. Now, the day of voters that were supposed to come in, as they came in, I started gaining. And then all of a sudden, and this is coming in from Edison Research, these polls are coming in, everything goes through Edison Research in New Jersey. All of a sudden, 36,000 votes came in and 6,000 for me. That's a deviation that doesn't make sense. That's all I'm saying. We're just going to check all that. And we've had people looking at this election and other elections across the country.
You big dummy, there's dummies on both sides. Blah.
Shut up, Mark. Address this. Mark, when you ever call anybody a dummy on your side, we'll talk. Yeah, there's dumb people on both sides. And I talk about dumb people on both sides. Shut the fuck up. God, you're annoying. Is he dumb? Let's ask you, Mark. Is this guy dumb? Is Mike Lindell dumb, Mark? I think Mike Lindell's dumb. Let's see if we can agree on this. Is he dumb?
The election across this country, we've had people watching. And, I'm not saying that anything's happened, but there's numbers that don't add up, and that's what we're going to look at. And I will have a full report for all of you tomorrow.
Wait. The hard part that we would have if me and Mark sat down and we're like, all right, who's the dumb person that's a Democrat? The problem is that Mark would legitimately name all the smartest Democrats. Mark would be like,
it's Elizabeth Warren, it's AOC, it's Bernie Sanders. It's what's his name? Jamie Raskin. He would pick actually all the smartest ones because he doesn't know. I'm sure there's some. I'm trying to think off the top of my head who's a Democrat I don't find terribly intelligent. You guys got any? Who do you guys think on the Democratic side is somebody that you wouldn't think is terribly John Fetterman? Yeah, but that feels like low hanging fruit. It's definitely Fetterman. And you got whatever you say, that's not even about his politics. He's not that bright. Schumer's not. Yeah, I don't think Schumer's that bright either. I think Schumer's crafty. He's done a good job consolidating political power. But I don't remember Schumer in his good years. But he's not smart now. Jeffries I think is a smart guy. Kamala's smart, but she has terrible instincts. If Harris is in an interview, she just consistently says the wrong thing. I find her to be incredibly intelligent until there's some political pressure. I think she has terrible political instincts. Slotkin, I think Slotkin's smart, but I don't agree with her a lot. It's ableist to call that Fetterman. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you could be right. That's probably insensitive. I don't really know the extent of his conditions, to be honest. I don't actually know. Did he have a head injury? Is that what? I don't even remember. It's not her. It's the DNC. Well, sometimes it's her. Listen, I liked. You guys know you were here. I liked, and I continue to like Kamala. But you do have to look at some of her missteps. She did some. I just don't think your political instincts are good. Campaigning with Liz Cheney was stupid. Maybe that wasn't her. Maybe I'm crediting her with that, but I don't think that was very smart. Yeah, I did read it. That's what I'm saying. I think she's smart, but I think sometimes her political instincts aren't great. I think some of her interviews she didn't do a great job on. I don't even necessarily think that that's even a criticism. I think people with good political instincts, I question them a bit. Somebody who says the right thing all the time, I'm like, that feels coached. He had a stroke? Okay, yeah, it might have been a little ableist. I apologize. I don't know. What was he like before the stroke? Was he super intelligent before the stroke? He has Israelitis. Yeah, Joe Manchin. There's a good one. I don't find Joe Manchin terribly intelligent. Nah, Clinton was brilliant. Hillary Clinton was brilliant. She's way smarter than her husband. I don't like Hillary Clinton, but she's incredibly smart. I don't see any other names there. She touched a lot of this in her book, though. Yeah. I mean, we can agree to disagree on that. I still like her. It's hard to, in hindsight, to look back at some of those decisions. And the Cheney thing, right? I know that wasn't her idea. But if she had better political instincts, which I don't think is necessarily a sign of intelligence, she would have known what benefit am I getting from Liz Cheney? I think that was a big mistake. I don't think there was any benefit to get Liz Cheney. I think that maybe they thought they could pull moderates, but literally nobody gives a shit about the Cheneys. If Liz Cheney's name was Susan Miller, it's another thing. But she brought along just her dad's name.
And that nobody likes Dick Cheney. Everybody already buried Dick Cheney in the GOP years ago. He was already persona non grata. He was taking all the heat for everything that happened. I think it was just a bad name to bring up there. Phoenix said Michigan. Oh, I got that one already. I think it was a whirlwind for her and trying not to sink due to the yeah. Look, again, I don't really think it's that much. I think we're very defensive of Harris, and I think that that's fair. It was a tough position for her to be in, but she's never really done well in national elections. And again, I don't know that it's really like that mean of a thing to say, that I don't think she has good political instincts. I think that the thing that I found appealing about Harris once she was the vice president and then the nominee is that she did come off authentic, and she's kind of quirky. She's kind of like goofy, and people saw that, and it turned some people off. I liked it. But I don't think saying somebody has bad political instincts is necessarily like an indictment on their character. I think she has really, really good character. I have real questions about people who have great political instincts. Like Gavin Newsom has incredible political instincts. I don't trust that guy at all. But he consistently says the right things, and he consistently walks the line. I think she took risks, and that's the criticism. Shut up. She blew $1.4 billion in less than 100 days. What a loser. Shut up. Kamala was in there let me decide where we're spending money. You think that that's what she was doing? You think Kamala Harris was making the decisions of which ads to run, where to put that money? Absolutely not. She went where they had people setting up her campaign, running her campaign. She chose people she trusted, and they sent her places. I've worked on campaigns. I promise you that when I worked on the Romney campaign, I promise you Mitt Romney wasn't making these campaign decisions. He wasn't approving all the ads. He wasn't picking where the stops were. He wasn't picking out his schedule. He had people he trusted to go and manage his schedule. That's silly to even make that claim. That's not a good diss on Kamala. All right. Anyways, there's Mike Lindell crying that the election was stolen. I think this is good news for Wisconsin. Where's our Wisconsin people? This is who won the GOP nomination in Wisconsin. This is similar to the criticism that Republicans are making about Democrats right now and the DSA. The difference is the DSA is popular. Election denial candidates are not popular. This is Tom Tiffany. He won the GOP nomination for governor in Wisconsin. A longtime ally of Trump. He voted against certifying the 2020 election, which makes you look like an idiot, in Arizona and Pennsylvania, and citing Trump's claims of illegal voting, said he would have voted against certifying Wisconsin's election results had they come up for vote as well. At the time, Attorney General Josh Kaul called Tiffany's objection to certifying election results a betrayal of his oath of office, which of course it was. Tiffany, who served in the House of Representatives since 2020, said he supports a federal probe into Wisconsin's 2020 presidential race. It's not going to be popular in Wisconsin. These are not popular positions for him. This is the problem with Trump owning your party, is the way to get Trump's attention is to take really unpopular positions because they're stupid and unverifiable. And outside of MAGA, everybody thinks they're crazy. And so you wind up with really bad candidates. In May, the FBI questioned officials with Milwaukee County and the Wisconsin Elections Commission. So clearly they have found something that's worth investigating. And so I just believe that they should be allowed to complete their investigation. They are. Nobody has ever stopped the FBI from investigating any of these claims. Nobody. There's just not any evidence. If there's nothing there, then that'll go away. If they do find something, then they can investigate that even further to make sure that there's been no problems. Yeah, but you said it was stolen. You would have voted not to certify it. He's just admitting, I have no evidence. I just believe it. He just believes it because it's what got him the nomination, probably. It's what he thinks is popular within the MAGA base. So Wisconsin's going to go blue for governor. Let's go to Colorado. This is Gabe Evans. One thing that is very, very consistent amongst Republicans in these midterms is that they are cowards. You can use the word pussy if you'd like to. They don't do town halls. They don't answer tough questions, and they run away. This is Brooke Rollins here, and she's out here in Colorado with Gabe Evans. They're calling this a town hall, but obviously this isn't a town hall. It's a staged event. And Gabe Evans gets asked one tough question and legitimately runs away.
After hosting a private roundtable with members of Colorado's agriculture community, Republican Congressman Gabe Evans took questions alongside USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins. The USDA oversees the SNAP food benefits program, and last year Evans voted for the bill that changed SNAP work requirement rules. 90,000 people in Evans's Congressional District 8 receive SNAP benefits.
How many do you think or do you expect to lose these food benefits? And why is that a positive for taxpayers?
Okay. Good question. How many people in your district do you expect to lose these benefits? Gabe Evans is like, I'm going to step up and answer this question. But Gabe Evans, like everybody in MAGA, is subservient to the administration. So even though this is his district and the question is for him, Brooke Rollins is going to be like, never mind, I'm in charge here.
Actually, I'm sorry. I know you want to talk to him first, but I live this every single day.
Before Evans could tell us if he knew the number, Rollins walked back to the microphone to explain the work requirement changes. But the question to Evans was how many in his district could lose benefits over those changes.
Let's look at the SNAP error rate. Under Hickenlooper as governor, it was about 5%. Under Polis, it's ballooned up to 10%.
How many are going to lose benefits?
Let's talk about something different. Let's blame Dems. Like, this just isn't going to work, guys.
MAGA, you deserve better than this. Even you, Mark, even you, Tony, if you're here. You guys deserve better than this. You deserve somebody that can sit in front of a town hall and answer questions. Gabe Evans is a fucking loser, and he can't answer questions.
Evans instead talked about the state's SNAP error rate, a stat tracked by the USDA. In 2022, Colorado's error rate was among the lowest at 7%. Last year, it was in the bottom half at 10%. The error rate includes overpayments and underpayments to recipients. The USDA says this rate reflects.
You look here in Colorado, overpayment 8.52%, underpayment 1.57% for a total of 10% there. On board. Arizona, where I live, is worse. Alaska's way worse.
Reflects program waste, but not fraud.
$12 million a month not getting to the people who need it the most because of mismanagement here in the state of Colorado. We're working to cut out that fraud, waste, and abuse in order to get the money to the people who need it the most.
So how many people in your district do you think will lose these benefits? And apparently for fraud, waste, and abuse.
If you want an answer from that, you'll have to answer the question that I asked you last year at the state capitol first. Thanks, Marshall.
Evans.
Look how quickly he runs.
That I asked you last year at the state capitol first. Thanks, Marshall.
Evans is talking about when he dodged my question about.
What a bitch.
You have to answer my question first. I'm not answering your.
He's not running for office, bitch. You are. You're running for office. Answer the question. Here's the question that wasn't answered at the state capitol, by the way.
His vote to kick people off Medicaid in his district. How does taking people off Medicaid and into emergency rooms for uncompensated care help medical providers in your district?
Do you want illegal immigrants on Medicaid, Marshall?
Two questions.
Guys, you've got to be better than this. Your party is a fucking joke. Like an actual joke. I'm not saying it like, oh, you have silly policies. You don't even have policies. You just have,
I'm scared of immigrants. And Donald Trump is the greatest. And Joe Biden is bad. Communism, socialism.
That's it. I asked yesterday, we didn't get an answer. Can you tell me, Republicans that are here, can you tell me one policy you're running on that isn't fear-mongering about either immigrants or communists or socialists or LGBTQ people? Can you just tell me something that is part of your platform that you feel is a message that's being presented that that resonates with you?
Questions at two events about who in his district is at risk of losing benefits and no answer. But that's more opportunity than his own constituents get at asking him questions. He's held telephone town halls, but nothing in person.
What should your constituents take that you meet with allies in the Trump administration, like Secretary Rollins and Secretary Mullen last week from DHS, but you've yet to have this general in public town hall for anyone to show up in your district?
Incorrect. We had a text go out to everybody for a town hall that we did with the Secretary of Energy just a couple of weeks ago, also in Adams County, by the way.
We haven't been
untrue. We did have a town hall.
Let's look at your town hall.
Been able to find a public town hall, but we did find this meeting. At the end of June, the conservative America First Policy Institute, founded by now Secretary
Learn how America is achieving energy dominance, creating good paying jobs, and driving powerful economic growth. He was just there. It's not a town hall. Presentation.
Secretary Rollins, it held an energy-based policy event.
You can see here, yeah, sorry, good point, Dolphin. You can see here, reserve your spot today. You had to reserve it. If you got this like if you followed them on Facebook or you got the email.
Energy-based policy event where questions were moderated, not asked by the general public. If you knew where to look on social media, you could RSVP to find out the location and find your congressman. For Next, I'm Marshall Zellinger.
All right. Did we get a policy from you Republicans? Was there one?
Fraud.
Yeah. What do you mean fraud, Mark? Fraud, like you guys are doing fraud? You can't name a policy? Mark, I asked for a policy and you just said fraud? None of you?
Pass the Save America Act. Stop the fraud.
That wouldn't. What fraud would that stop? What fraud are you talking about? Winters? What fraud would the Save America Act stop? No. Now stop the corruption. What corruption, Winters?
Pass the Save America Act to stop the corruption.
Next is going to be
pass the Save America Act to stop me from shitting my pants. Pass the Save America Act to stop the cheating.
There you go. Get them all out, bud. I'll read them all in your voice. Keep going, bud. What else is it going to stop?
They're all cheating. They're all fraud. I can't explain any of this.
Anything?
Pass the Save America Act. Stop the fraud.
You already did that one, Winters. Uh-oh. Now we're starting to think you're a bot. Uh-oh. Is he going to go in order again now? He's going to go in order. Let's see if what was after fraud? Was it stealing? Let's see if stealing comes up. Rebooting. If it's stealing, this is going to be great.
Pass the Save America Act to stop the saving of America.
Thank you, Daddy. Don't show Nick Shirley again. I didn't. We got all the way through Nick Shirley yesterday. No. Reboot. Okay. All right. We're going to talk. I'm going to show you Rachel Maddow, and you're going to get a bunch of Republicans freaking out that Rachel Maddow's on the screen right now. But this is actually really interesting. There is a bit of a revolt happening in places against Republicans we wouldn't expect. Places like South Carolina, places like Georgia and Louisiana. And at the time when Republicans were talking about redistricting and just redrawing the lines, I wrongly assumed that they would just get their way and there wouldn't be any pushback. There wouldn't be enough of a pushback for them to care. Turns out a lot of people care. Turns out they woke up a lot of people who are pissed off and are showing up for the midterms now.
Over the country this primary election season in states red, blue, and purple.
Go ahead and mute Winters for 24 hours. Sorry, dude.
Things have not been going Republicans' way. But I want to point out something going on specifically about black political power that I think Republicans did not expect.
Oh, and thanks, Colin.
Because Republicans all over the country this year have taken the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court's dismantling of the Voting Rights Act, and they have used it to
Brianna said, fuck you, Frank, and the butt plug you wrote in on.
Start a radical effort to constrict black voting power in the United States of America. In state after state, Republicans have been engaged in redrawing congressional districts, not just to entrench themselves in power, but specifically to take power away from minority voters and black voters in particular. Well, in response to that, we are now seeing in state after state that people have something to say about that, too. Take South Carolina. Earlier this year, Republican legislators in South Carolina, they were steaming ahead with a plan to dissolve the state's only majority black district, the seat held by the state's only
no nuclear dolphins. Will you send that to Jen? I'll play it.
Black congressman, James Clyburn. That effort to box out James Clyburn drew protests, but it also drew...
No, this is MS. Look, the Communist News Network. This is MS Now. I know that you guys can't read. This is actually MS Now, not CNN.
Voters in numbers that alarmed South Carolina Republicans. The first day of early voting in the South Carolina primary saw record-breaking turnout. Nearly 5 times more Democrats than Republicans cast ballots. Many of them said they were out at the polls to send a message, specifically to try to stop the redistricting plan to take away Clyburn's seat. And guess what happened next? That very same day, that first day of early voting, South Carolina Republicans got scared and scrapped their plan.
We already watched Fox News. We already watched 2 Fox News clips today. So I don't know if I have any more Fox News clips.
The Republican state Senate leader warned his colleagues, quote, "People will vote when they're angry, and I think we've made some people mad." South Carolina. Also take a look at Georgia. Republicans in Georgia tried the same thing, tried drawing up new congressional districts to entrench themselves and to dilute and thereby deny black political power in the state of Georgia. As soon as the U.S. Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act, Georgia's governor called a special legislative session to redraw the state's maps. Well, when lawmakers arrived at the Capitol for that special session, this is what they were greeted with. The state Capitol packed to the gills with protesters who let the lawmakers know just what the people of Georgia thought about this plan. Georgia Republicans looked up at the balcony, looked up at the gallery, looked around them, looked at the fury they were about to unleash and said, okay, never mind. On second thought, maybe we will not try to redraw our maps to make our congressional delegation whiter and more permanent. Seems like that might be wildly unpopular. Now look at Tennessee. Tennessee is one of the southern states where Republicans did carry out their plan to dilute...
Jay Rezi, my love, how are you today? I've missed you dearly, fiance. Thank you.
Black political power. They broke up the state's single majority black district around Memphis, spreading black voters out into more rural, more conservative, whiter districts that stretch hundreds of miles from the city. And after the Republicans did that, then they decided that, well, then they realized they were going to have to learn what the people of Tennessee thought about it. Black leaders in Memphis in particular got to work. Pastors and organizers and activists and civic groups and unions held voter registration drives, organized rallies, worked the phones, knocked on doors, all in an effort to channel their neighbors' indignation and anger into action. In Memphis, the Reverend Earl Fisher of the Abyssinian Missionary Baptist Church said, quote, "I think in a lot of ways this awoke a sleeping giant. I don't think Republicans have anticipated or accounted for a mass mobilization effort."
Vanilla said, what the fuck kind of idiot serum was in MAGA's mocha mix today? They are really outdoing themselves on the ignorance and bigotry. Yikes.
Well, sure enough, when Tennessee held its primary a few days ago on Thursday, Democratic voter turnout in Memphis's majority black Shelby County surged to the highest level in a decade.
Whoopsies!
More than twice, more than double the turnout percentage for similar contests that were held just 2 years ago. The next day, Reverend Fisher told the Washington Post, quote, a night like last night lets you know it's not all in vain. Though he said he's not taking a victory lap. Black Tennessee Democrats will be up against long odds in November, these newly drawn congressional districts. But last week's turnout is a big first step and one that is rattling Republicans in Tennessee.
Glad Hassan Piker's destroying your liberal moment, commies. Yeah, he is. He's so bad. He's doing so much bad work. How hard is it for you to say Hassan Piker without coming? Honestly, will we be honest about that? Pure radiation. How hard did you just come right there? Please tell the truth. And we're okay with it. Look, there's a lot of people here that see Hassan Piker and, their pants get tighter or their pants get more moist. I just want to know how hard you come when you see Hassan Piker. Stupid, sexy Hassan. Yeah, that's right. Fuck that guy and his handsomeness and his good points.
But one time, years ago, he said that the U.S. deserved
9/11. Yeah, we get it. We get it. Donald Trump, on 9/11, Donald Trump called the radio show and bragged that he now had the tallest building. So then he went down and he claimed that he sent his own construction crews to clean up the World Trade Center, and that wasn't true either. So with respect, I think he was wrong about that. I do understand the sentiment that our intervention all across the Middle East played a role in leading to the attacks on the World Trade Center. That's a fair point. But good Lord. You guys you'll focus on one thing. How many dumb fucking things has Donald Trump said?
Well, they're just words. It's just locker room talk. When he brags about raping women, it's locker room talk.
But like Hassan can't say one thing wrong. The thing that all of you don't understand is nobody outside of MAGA gives a flying fuck that Hassan said those things when they find out he apologized. Like it's not a big deal. It's a bunch of moderates. It's like Zionists. Even most, like even the MAGA, the non-Zionist MAGA, they don't care that he said that. Nick Fuentes has said a million times worse than that, and they love Nick Fuentes. It's just Zionists. And if you're a Zionist, respectfully, in the nicest way possible, and I mean no disrespect from this, I really don't. I'm not trying to go to war with the Zionists. If you're a Zionist, you're welcome here. But respectfully, go fuck yourself. And respectfully, all of your views are trash. And respectfully, you are supporting a genocide, and respectfully, you're sick fucks. But all of that is respectfully. I mean, no disrespect by any of that, and you're welcome to stay here. But fuck you and every fucking belief that you have. Amen. Okay. I want to talk about this here. From Democracy Docket, the Texas County defends a plan to swap voting maps between primary and November election. A Texas county told the state Supreme Court that it can change its voting maps between its primary and November general election, doubling down on what pro-voting plaintiffs warned could be replicated across the state to undermine the will of voters. One thing to remember about Texas is that it is a lawless hellhole. And it's run by Republicans who could give a fuck about the law. They only care about power. It's why you guys have Ken Paxton as a candidate. A man who was impeached by his own party, a man who is a criminal by every definition, and you've put him at the top of your ticket because why not? It's fucking Texas. Whether Galveston County can switch out its district maps is not just a local dispute. A win for the county could embolden other Texas jurisdictions to tweak election maps after seeing primary results in order to boost partisan advantages in the general election. Let's get down here. Here's what they actually say. Practically, there are many reasons why a county's commissioners may adopt changed precinct boundaries between a primary and a general election. This is what the county is arguing in a response filed with the court. They may want to increase partisan performance. With the court, they're saying, yeah, we want to cheat. We would like to cheat right before the election. They're just saying it. Address new laws or comply with population requirements. Pro-voting plaintiffs filed an emergency petition last week asking the Texas Supreme Court to block the 11th hour map switch, arguing the Texas election code requires that a political party's nominees for a county general election be selected by a primary election. Galveston County's local maps have been at the center of a years-long redistricting battle. Pro-voting plaintiffs are still fighting to block a GOP gerrymander that was struck down in 2023 by Judge Brown, who was appointed by Trump. The decision was later reversed by the ultra-conservative Fifth Circuit, and some of the claims are still being litigated in that district court. On Friday, Brown, who is weighing a request to end what is left of that prior federal case, called the timing of Galveston's county map swap highly suspicious. Oh, you don't say. You don't say. Did you think it was highly suspicious because they said they may want to increase partisan performance? Direct quote, we want to cheat. Ironically, Brown also noted that GOP officials didn't do a particularly good job at redrawing the map for partisan gain. If the defendants really cared about improving Republican partisan performance, they would have changed the 2021 map before the primary election to encourage a Republican to run for justice of the peace in that now Republican-leaning precinct in 2026. It is important to remember that Republicans love to cheat, but they're also mostly stupid. And so even when they cheat, they regularly fuck up. It's kind of like a privilege thing, Republican privilege. They think they can just show up with a dumb argument and it'll work. Galveston's latest map update came shortly after the Supreme Court's conservative majority gutted the Historic Voting Rights Act in April, which, again, they said they weren't going to do, right? You guys weren't against the Voting Rights Act. And then they're like, oh, never mind, we are. Signaling a new federal legal environment that now welcomes racial gerrymandering and encourages the dismantling of districts where minority voters have been able to elect the candidates of their choice. Galveston County is represented by Galveston-based Greer, Hertz, and Adams, and the Public Interest Legal Foundation. It's ironic enough in this country that conservatives, through desegregation and then up through even through the Jim Crow era and through redlining, created these districts to make it so that black people had to be around each other. And then now, when they can't get black votes and they desperately need the black vote to either go for them or be split up, now they're cheating. Crazy, right? I'm an election denier? Fuck, sure. Unlike in Mississippi, Galveston County officials took a different approach. They simply do not care that they already held their elections in March. They've already done the primary, and they're like, yeah, fuck it. They passed new maps in June anyways, which they argue they can use in this year's November elections. Is that the most anti-democracy thing you could think of? That you hold your primary elections, the people choose, and then you're like, never mind. We're just going to change the rules. We don't give a fuck. There's a lot of this right now. There's a lot of I think it's South Dakota that's dealing with this right now, where the people of South Dakota basically are now having to pass referendums because the government is saying, hey, we don't really care if you put a ballot initiative on there and the people of South Dakota vote for that ballot initiative to pass. We're just going to vote it. We're just going to say that it can't be law anyways. We get to override the voters. Republicans are so unpopular now that they are having to override their own voters to keep their agenda. Jamar said, every time they hear Hassan Piker, Jizz in My Pants by Lonely Island plays. I don't believe that's Lonely Island, is it? Maybe it is. Oh, yeah, it is. You're right. Okay. Speaking of shitty Republicans, new details have emerged from an event that took place when Max Miller was in high school. Max Miller apparently has been hitting women his entire life. This is his high school classmate, River McWilliams, on with Anderson Cooper, retelling a story that happened in high school with Max Miller.
Mr. McWilliams, appreciate you being here. I understand you say you did not personally witness this alleged incident. When did you arrive at the party? What did you see?
This took place at a high school party, and what year did they say? Can't remember.
So, this is an incident that happened 20 years ago, but I have very vivid memories because it was just such a dynamic part of high school. But I showed up shortly after walking in to the house and finding shouting, chaos, and that kind of stuff, and finding the girl in question, kind of traumatized, crying, and just trying to figure out what had happened. My decision at that point was, hey, the best thing is to get her out of the house, walk her down the street, make sure that she's okay, remove her from the situation. So that's as far as my involvement goes. Like, I got her out of the house and I walked her away just to make sure that she was okay, and nothing escalated further. And
Congressman Miller has denied the incident ever took place. What did I'm not sure how old she was. Did the young woman, the teenage girl, what did she say?
Well, I honestly, there's little bits and parts that I remember vividly, little bits and parts.
Yeah, it's right, Laura. It's on brand that there's never just one victim. And it's also on brand that the gross men in the chat that will defend this will be like, yeah, they're only doing it now because he's running for office. Yeah, duh. That's all they can do. They don't want predators like this running for office. And for a lot of these victims, like, they weren't ever going to have proof. There's nothing they could do. They couldn't press charges, or they were afraid to press charges at the time, whatever it might be. But yeah, once somebody becomes a public figure, that's when you find out their past. So this does happen. What Republicans are upset about is that it keeps happening to their people, and they don't want to back away from it. There's a massive difference between Republicans and Democrats in this regard. If Max Miller was a Democrat, he would no longer be running. He would have been removed. And if he was running, they would have fielded a candidate against him, or the DNC would have completely pulled away and said, we no longer support him. Max Miller couldn't be running as a Democrat. The only people that allow predators like this to continue running are the Republicans.
That I'm not entirely sure of, but I know that she was just very, very shaken up. I don't remember if she said anything specific about the incident that happened beforehand, but it was very clear that she was.
How long did it take us to disavow Graham? Literally, when the accusation came out. Exactly, like the day they came out. Did you not watch? You probably didn't watch this show. The day it came out, I said he's got to step down and go away. Everybody that I respect as a Democrat was on the same page as me. I think Bernie Sanders said it that day. AOC said it. What are you talking about?
You know, not in the right headspace to be in that area anymore, right? So I just wanted to make sure that I did my part, make sure that I got her out of the situation, made sure that she was okay, and just lend her support in any way that I could.
Okay, even this, like, he had a Nazi tattoo. I don't know if that's true. I still don't know if that's true. But so does Pete Hegseth. So you don't have any, like, what's your criticism of Pete Hegseth? Pete Hegseth settled multiple allegations of sexual abuse. He paid people out for sexual abuse. How'd that happen? Then he was confirmed. Oh, well, when Republicans do stuff, it doesn't count. This is exactly what we're talking about. Donald Trump went to court, was held civilly liable for sexual abuse. You voted for him. You still continue to support him. You're proving the point here. Matt Gaetz raped a 17-year-old. Trump put him up for attorney general.
You guys, you didn't do it the exact moment that the allegations came out.
Respectfully, fuck you. Pete has a Nazi tattoo in the same way that Graham Plattner does, by the way. They're both tattoos that are used by Nazis. They are not exclusive to Nazis, but they are used by Nazis. It's the exact same standard. And I said on that day that I've seen no evidence that Graham Plattner was a Nazi. However, even if Graham Plattner had held Nazi beliefs before, when he was younger, and had denounced those beliefs and changed his beliefs, and I felt that he was genuine, I can support somebody like that. I felt that I still believe that Graham Plattner's positions politically were authentic. He just is a predator to women. And because he's a predator to women, even though he matches my political ideology almost like point for point, I can't support that. I would have supported Susan Collins over him, despite me disagreeing with her on virtually everything. I mean, I wouldn't have voted, but I would have said, like, I would prefer people vote for Susan Collins. So, like, you guys, you just can't do this. You can't come in here and expect anybody to take you seriously when there's not a single person you guys have run out of your party, even when they go to court and they are found liable. Donald Trump's admitted it on tape, and you're like, no, he's probably innocent. Yeah, I know. That's what you all say. You're nuts. Yeah. You guys all say that. Name one Republican that you guys have run out for sexual assault charges in the last 10 years. Name one. You guys said anything about Lauren Boebert's kid? Isn't that his second arrest now? Say anything about that? Nah, nothing about that. Did you guys stand up for Nancy Mace when she accused her ex-fiance of sexual assault? Did you say shit about that? I did. I dedicated an hour of my show and played her entire speech. I bet you don't even know she made a speech. No, he's not running for Congress, but there's plenty of people that are. What about Max Miller here? How long is it going to take for you to say Max Miller shouldn't run for office? Go ahead and do that, TBK. Denounce Max Miller. Say that he should step aside. What about Swalwell and Plattner? Same thing. The day that Swalwell's accusations came out, I said he should step down. He not only should he not keep running, but he should step down from his office, which he did. I was consistent on those too. You disavow him, or we just ignore you for the rest of the time. Though, TBK, disavow this. He should step down. Say it. I didn't ask if you liked them. I asked if he should step down. I said that they should. I said Plattner, Swalwell, step down. Go away forever. Say it. We'll pause the show. This is what you guys all do. You're so fucking weaselly. You demand accountability. Then when we ask for like the slightest
I don't really like them very much.
I didn't ask that. Shouldn't he step aside? The tattoo was associated with the Republican movement in the 1940s, Germany. Yeah. It is interesting to watch Republicans like, oh, you guys didn't denounce Nazis. Yeah. You ever heard of Stephen Miller? Donald Trump admitted that he had Hitler speeches next to his bed. Is that not more damning than a tattoo? Notice how we're not here anymore? Notice how old boy just bounced? TBK, I'm not going to announce. They should step down if they were in my area. I wouldn't vote for them. Great. Great. Thank you for saying that. Now, ask your part. Now, why does your party, why do the Republicans, why is Donald Trump said he feels bad for Max Miller. Didn't say about anything about his family. How come nobody, like outside of six, I think there's 6 people that have said he should step down. The party was unanimous. There was nobody in the DNC who thought that Swalwell or Plattner should continue in the race. You got 6 Republicans. I appreciate you saying that, honestly, and I respect that you said that. I do. And you're just a slow response. That's fine. But stop criticizing across the aisle when your party won't do a goddamn thing about Max Miller.
And it's important to note, Congressman Miller has denied this incident ever took place. Have you ever spoken with anyone in your hometown who's corroborated his denial?
There was never.
Amy said Miller has also been accused of assault going back to high school repeatedly, including Trump's old press secretary. True. This is about his assault in high school here.
Hint of this didn't happen like we all thought it did. In our social circles, it was pretty much a story that was shared and known to be true, right? We talked about that crazy night. We knew that those social circles were not going to be able to interact with each other for a while. This was more treated as fact and something that was happened on a crazy night rather than, hey, did you hear the other side of the story? There was no talk of anything that this did not happen the way that we all kind of.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I forgot about Corey Mills, who's beaten like 3 of his girlfriends already. He's a chair of a committee, not a peep about Corey Mills.
And remembered it.
So you're saying other people in your school and after this event talked about somebody had been pushed down the stairs?
Yeah, it was not a secret among our social circles, right? I did not pursue any further. We didn't know what the involvement of any outside police or anything because that's not really our business, right?
Yeah, like you're a kid. I was trying to think about this. Like, what would I have done in this scenario? Probably what he did. My first thought would have been to like de-escalate and comfort somebody as a kid, just because we weren't taught about this stuff at all. In a very patriarchal society, I would have done the same thing. He did somebody should have called the police, but I was trying to think like what would I have actually done in that scenario? I think I would have done exactly what he did, and that was the wrong thing. I don't feel good about that, and I think we need to teach our children that when something like this happens at a party, like don't think about are your friends going to be pissed if you call the cops. Think about the right thing to do. Trudy, big W for Trudy in the chat there. Sent $75 over on Venmo. Said, agree with Jen. The goal is being neglected. Thank you so much, Trudy. You're always so generous. Amber said, military saw Hegseth's tattoo and denied him security clearance. Military saw Plattner's and gave him more security clearance. I don't know. Yeah, I think that shows that they were more concerned with Hegseth, but also maybe our standards are a little low in the military.
We just wanted to make sure that we knew that she was okay, and it was like I said, it was a common fact, known, talked about that crazy night where that happened, never contradicted in any way by anyone that was close to Max or Max himself.
Well, and as we said, Congressman Miller denies any accusations and says they're politically motivated. When you heard his denial, when you heard what he said, what went through your mind?
That's really what has kind of stuck with me is, I feel very strongly that something that happened 20 years ago when you're in high school doesn't necessarily need to define you, but to blanketly deny something and call somebody a liar when I know it to be true and I know that, you know, the experiences that I lived through, that's what really got to me. You know, I'm a father of 3 daughters, and I would hope that if any of my daughters went through something like this and anybody was around them, that they would also have, you know, the courage to stand up and not, you know, force somebody to try to relive, you know, something that could be very traumatic. I just feel like Max is hiding behind, you know, the fact that the woman in question is not comfortable coming forward to use that as an excuse to call it as a lie and blatantly false. And, you know, I just kind of wanted to lend my voice to contradict his statement.
TB, I appreciate what you're saying,
So
but like
Williams-
that's not what happens on this channel. So I agree with you. I don't like people that celebrate assassination. Let me just say this: I don't celebrate assassinations. I agree with you on that, but that's not what we're talking about. And I don't think that that's what this audience is. Like I was live for like 8 hours when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. That happened during a live stream, and we stayed on for hours. And not once did I celebrate that. I don't like violence in general. I'm just not a violent person. I don't like political violence. I don't like violence, domestic violence. I don't like physical violence. I don't like to fight. I will always try and de-escalate. I'm a peaceful person in that way. Like I like using my words, and I'll say some shit. But this isn't one of those places where like political violence is celebrated. Not one single time have I ever celebrated political violence. Okay. It's I don't know what to say about this. I don't know a single Republican politician who can't be accused of protecting pedophiles. Trying to think, kind of Thomas Massey, like recently, kind of. But there is one person in Congress that I despise above all else, and it is Andy Biggs. And I despise Andy Biggs for so many reasons. Number one, he is my congressman. Number two, he is a dog shit congressman. He has passed nothing. Number three, he touts his experience as a lawyer. He was a terrible lawyer. He won Publishers Clearinghouse, and that's how he got his money. And then he immediately went into government, where he rose through the state government and leadership. And he has everything he has ever gained in politics has been him sucking somebody's powerful's dick. And he, as soon as Trump came around, he's like, I'm gonna ride that dick. He's also Mormon, just like I was. He went to Brigham Young University, in my hometown. And he does not represent the principles that I believed that the Mormon Church represented. He represents the worst of Mormonism. The kind of guy who goes to church on Sunday and reads about Jesus taking care of the sick and the poor, and then going to work Monday through Friday, stealing money from the poor and the sick. He's just the worst kind of religious Christian person. He's not terribly bright. He has literally no personality. And the only reason that he has gotten the nomination as governor in Arizona is because Donald Trump handpicked him. Now, I don't like any of the GOP, but David Schweikert was also running for the nomination. David Schweikert is the loudest and most consistent voice in Washington for trying to fix the debt. He is one of the only Republicans who consistently harps on spending, and he will criticize both Republicans and Democrats. So naturally, he's not a very popular guy. David Schweikert would have been a good candidate in Arizona because he has broad appeal. Arizona's a purple state. We still like John McCain style Republicans here. We like people who are willing to go against their party, and Andy Biggs is not that. Andy Biggs is going to lose. Just like Kerry Lake lost, he's going to lose because he's simply a Trump sycophant, and in Arizona, that doesn't work when you're running a statewide race. It works if you're up in Prescott, or it works if you're down in Florence, or if you're, where I live in the East Valley. It works. You can just suck Donald Trump's dick and win an election. But statewide elections, it doesn't work if the only thing you're known for is being a sycophant. But that's not the only thing Andy Biggs is known for. Andy Biggs, if you can look this up yourself, type in Andy Biggs' son officer shooting. Andy Biggs' son was a officer with the Chandler Police. And while he was off duty and his family was in the car, he went into Walmart and he suspected some people of stealing. Not because he saw them steal, not because Walmart said they stole, but he suspected them. He followed them out to their car, demanded to see their receipt while he was off duty again. And when they didn't, and when they when they pushed back against him because again he's off duty, he shot them, and he lost his job. And then he sued the police department. I don't know. I believe that was settled out of court. And you can't find that story anywhere. It has been absolutely buried. He also, it was named by Sasha Riley as somebody who sexually abused children. And you think like, not Andy Biggs. Until you hear this story. This is a story that's more than 10 years old about when Andy Biggs was the Senate leader here in Arizona. And he covered up for one of the most, probably before Jeffrey Epstein, probably the most well-known pedophile in this country. And now he's covering up for Jeffrey Epstein, too. This man loves covering up for abusers. It might be the only thing he's good at.
Critics accuse Biggs of protecting child sex predators and a corrupt polygamous sect in Colorado City. And now the allegations are making a comeback.
Yeah, this goes back a little ways. In fact, it goes back about 13 years, back when Andy Biggs was the leader of the Arizona State Senate. Now, at the time, some of his own Republicans said he had a chance to stop the abuse of children in Colorado City, but did nothing. So heading into this campaign, I knew that his long record would play a big part in this race. So I asked him about this issue back in October last year.
Thank you, Pink, for joining the Dollar Train. And Dana, as a MAGA, will defend the indefensible. The fact is, this is who some of them are. They will never leave Trump because they would just go back to being an unloved nobody. That's tough talk. Guys, this is the last video we'll probably do. Well, no, we got about 20 minutes, I guess. If you want to help us knock out the remaining balance of that gift goal, that would be great. Here is Andy Biggs' response.
Carry that bill, and why did you do that? Because it passed the House and it never was brought up for a vote in the Senate.
Well, I can't remember the procedure. I do remember the bill.
That was Andy Biggs late last year. I'd asked him about House Bill 2648, which was written specifically in 2013 to decertify the Colorado City Police Department, and it passed the House with overwhelming bipartisan support. At the time, the department was accused of doing the bidding of Warren Jeffs, the leader of the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The bill was introduced 2 years after Jeffs was sentenced to life in prison, plus 20 years. He was convicted of sexually assaulting underage girls and forcing them into spiritual marriages.
Did you ever feel like, you may have been in jeopardy of maybe protecting some of the things that were going on up there and allowing that to continue?
No, I wasn't concerned that we were going to actually bury stuff.
It wasn't the first time he...
Oh, you just didn't bring it up for a vote. You weren't concerned you were going to bury stuff. You just buried it.
Been questioned about the legislation. 10 years ago, when he first ran for Congress, I spoke with 2 Republican lawmakers who accused Biggs of killing the bill in the Senate. And he blew me off when I tried to ask him why.
You're not going to get an on-camera interview with Biggs.
Now that Biggs is running for governor, he's forced to address questions about the proposed legislation.
Yeah, because ultimately the DOJ did find that there was evidence that law enforcement was acting as like an enforcement arm for this FLDS sect, that they even returned child brides that tried to run from these abusive situations to their abusers.
There's a theme with Andy Biggs. Protect the abusers. Never the victims. In this case, the victims obviously were children. One of our moderators, I don't know if she's around moderating anymore, but one of our moderators escaped from Warren Jeffs' cult. He lived there. Her story is devastating. The stories of not only the young women who were abused, but the young men who were ostracized from their society and were physically abused as well. And Andy Biggs is like, yeah, let's just not vote on it. I don't know what it is about that guy. It adds a lot of credibility to Sasha Riley's claim that Andy Biggs participated in ritualistic sex abuse against children. There's another story that's coming out of Utah right now in Heber City from some prominent Mormons. And I haven't covered it yet because the Mormon church is ridiculously litigious. And I know that the people who have covered it have received letters from the Mormon Church. And so I'm waiting on if we can confirm parts of that story. But Andy Biggs is the worst kind of Mormon. There are some great Mormons that I love that are in my life. He's not one of them. He's one of the bad ones. He's one of those people who pretends to be faithful on the outside and then, again, goes to work Monday through Friday protecting predators and leaving victims hanging. So fuck that guy. I'm going to skip this one. He's running with Sign Kerr. Well, let me just give you an example. They're running literally on nothing. If we pull up Biggs for Governor website here, I don't even know who this. I don't know if it's Sine Sign Kerr. I don't even know her name. This is Andy Biggs here, and if we go look at his issues, make Arizona affordable. How? Republicans, maybe you could help them out here. Bring down costs for Arizona families and businesses by growing our economy. How? Lowering taxes. We have pretty low taxes already. Encouraging job growth. Come on, jobs, grow. You got to do it. And reducing government interference. This is one of the least regulated states in the country. We don't have heavy regulation here. Partner with Trump and local law enforcement officials to completely secure our southern border, crack down on drug and human traffickers, and fully fund our public safety departments. So, yeah. Do what Donald Trump says. Secure our energy future. This is interesting. We have more days of sunshine in Arizona than any other state in the country. We are the place for solar. There's no other state in the country that is better suited for solar energy than us. Prioritize the use and expansion of reliable and affordable energy sources to reduce rising utility costs and gas prices for every Arizonan. Guess what this means? Natural gas, coal. Look at his votes. He's the one that's cutting subsidies for solar. We have a massive dam. We have the Glen Canyon Dam. Generates a lot of hydro energy. Not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of managing water. Even though he says this, responsibly manage our water and land resources to ensure long-term growth and an increased supply of single-family homes. A lot of people don't know this, probably. Well, maybe you do, because maybe it's a bigger issue now. But Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, we're all kind of fucked right now. The Colorado River is not giving us enough water because all these states have been in like a 30-year drought, and we use too much water. And in states like Colorado and Utah, they don't really cut regulate, or they don't really add regulations so that people can't have lawns. We use a lot, like people use their irrigation rights. They don't want to lose them, so people will literally just irrigate for no reason. Like we have alfalfa farms like crazy. We don't do a lot of conservation. So I don't know what his plan is there. I'll show you that in a minute. And then protecting school and health choice. Protect the rights and freedoms of Arizonans to make their own education and health choices. The right to make your own education decisions in Arizona has led us to be ranked 50th in the country. We have more. I think we have the most charter schools in the country, and we're ranked 50th. We suck at it. We also aren't very good at healthcare, and what he wants to do is privatize education and health choices. He says it's going to protect your freedoms, but what he really means is allow people to profit off it. Supporting school choice policies and enacting the MAGA agenda, which I don't know what that is. I guess like don't be vaccinated, and then something about signing election integrity legislation, which I don't know if he has an answer for that. This is who he's running with, and I just want you to pay attention to what they're actually running on when it comes to water conservation. This is Sine or Sine Kerr. This is the lieutenant governor, and here's her big plan to fix our water scarcity problem.
To see the governor's office do to make sure that Arizona gets its proper amount of water from the Colorado River?
Well, obviously, I feel like Katie Hobbs came too late. She did too little, too late, and needed to be engaged. It's so critical that she needed to be engaged at the get-go. And so what I want to see from...
I don't even know what she's talking about here. The governors of all 4 states came together and started working together. So it was Governor Cox, is it Polis in Colorado? Can't remember, Nevada. They're all working together. So I don't know, like she's acting like they were all working on it, and then Katie Hobbs is like, oh, okay, I guess I'll join. That's not what happened. So the first thing you're going to do is just say Katie Hobbs was too late. And then what are you going to do?
And so what I want to see from the governor's office is Andy Biggs and Sina Kerr getting in there and doing the hard negotiations that need to take place and to put Arizona in a much better position for our water future.
What?
We got to do the hard negotiations and put Arizonans first. They don't have a plan. We just looked at it as there's no fucking plan. They don't know, because what they have to do in order to address this is you have to admit that climate change is real. You have to address renewable energy. You have to address sustainable renewable energy. You have to address like air quality. You have to address things like in Phoenix, like maybe we need to do more like public transportation. Maybe we need less cars on the road, and they can't do that. So they can't do anything, and they're not going to do anything. That's why their solution is we got to have good, big conversations and put Arizonans first. Okay. Cool plan. What you going to do? Well, we're going to drill, baby, drill in other states. That's what we'll do. That'll fix it. All right. Let me check some of these messages real quick. Dan, I got that. Big W for Trudy again said the goal is like staring at the gas pump, a few cents short of a round number. Another a generous donation of $60 from Trudy. Thank you so much. Courtney said, please watch this. Okay, we'll watch it to end. We'll watch it to end the show today. Thank you, Courtney. And I missed any there. There. I think I got them. Okay. I want to do these two clips, and then we'll play the one that you just sent me, Courtney, and we'll get out of here. I want to play two different clips here because I don't really know what to make of this, and I'm just going to crowdsource this. This is Amir Hassan and Sam Seder. Any of you who follow me know, like, my respect for Sam Seder couldn't be higher. He's one of two people who really changed my mind on my political beliefs. He and Vosh, I understand, is moving out of the country. Sat down with Sam Seder because this is a tricky place that we're in right now. Like, what do you do with Tucker Carlson? What do we do with Tucker Carlson? Like, he keeps winding up on the right side of a lot of issues. He's still Tucker Carlson. What do we do? What do we do with him? How do we interact with him? How do we take his messaging and make sure it's used for the greater good, but also not wind up being Tucker Carlson? It's tricky, honestly, and I'm interested in seeing what you guys have to say. I'll try not to add too much of my own commentary.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene was seen in a picture with Tucker Carlson in his home recently in Maine. They went there to try and persuade Tucker to run for president as the leader of a new third party. What do you make of that?
Well, one, I would love it. That would be great. It would split the Republican vote.
You don't think it would take a lot of lefties with him? Because me and Shadi Hamid from the Washington Post, we got attacked a few months back when we said that we had gone to visit family and friends.
Let me just lay out a scenario for why I think this is an interesting conversation, because I see people say, don't trust him. He can keep his opinion to himself. He's influential. There are people, I don't know how many people, but a significant amount of people who get their opinions and their news from Tucker Carlson. So, like with Israel, for example, I don't want to fund weapons to Israel. I don't want to fund Israel at all. Tucker Carlson agrees with me on that. Democrats have a minority in both the House and the Senate, and they have Zionists in the Democratic Party as well. So they don't have the votes. But Tucker's influence potentially could sway enough Republicans to vote to not fund Israel. In that case, I'm glad he spoke. It's one of those weird times, like in politics, where there's so many people that I have really despised that like are fighting on the same side of some of the issues that I like. It's just it's tricky to cover them, honestly, because of this mixed reaction. I show a Tucker clip and some people are like, wow, he's getting it right this time. And then there's other people that are like, fuck this guy. Don't ever listen to him. I'll never trust him. I think Sam's got a pretty good answer here, honestly.
And we noticed that in the Muslim community, at least, a lot of Muslims are like, I'll vote for Tucker Carlson because he's speaking out against foreign wars.
Ty said Caroline Leavitt just quit. Is that true? Jen, will you look that up?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the absence of a Democrat who's speaking out against foreign wars, water flows downhill, and there's a lot of people who don't want that.
Bassem went on Candace Owens' show, and I said, why'd you do that? And Bassem's argument is, if the house is on fire, you take a bucket from whoever's nearby. And his argument is, and I hear this from a lot of people on the left, in the Muslim community, which is, put all these other things aside. Yes, we can disagree with these people on multiple issues, immigration, the economy, taxes, blah-de-blah. But it's a genocide, and Tucker Carlson's saying the right thing on the genocide. Candace Owens is saying, and this is not me saying it, but other people saying, she's standing up against Israel. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been very strong on arms. So that's why we should work with these people. Do you buy that argument?
No. If I go on Tucker Carlson's show, I mean,
a bunch of people have who are quote unquote on our side of the argument. Trita Parsi was on recently talking about Iran.
Right.
Person, a good friend of mine.
Right.
Cenk Uyghur's been on. Anna Kasparian's been on.
Right.
Sam hates Cenk. Sam might be the only person in media that hates Cenk more than me.
Am I happy that Tucker Carlson is advocating that we should not be supporting Israel to his people? Yes, that's good. If I had a button to stop him from
May, how stupid can you be? I don't know, May, but you set the bar every day, and I don't know if I could top you. You're setting a gold standard of stupidity each and every day. So I think you keep the crown.
I'm talking that I wouldn't press that button, but what value am I bringing to that cause by going on his show? If I was to go on the show,
people would say, just to be devil's advocate, people would say the value you're bringing is you're showing there's a coalition of Americans on right and left who are against these endless wars.
To whom am I showing that?
The establishment.
Well, the establishment can see that I disagree with the war, and they can see that, and they can do the addition if they want to do the addition. That's not a very hard math problem. When I go on that show, what I am saying, unless I am arguing with him the entire time, which is what I would do, is I am saying there's something for you. My audience, I'm saying this to my audience, there's something for you to hear to take a look at and encourage. Like, I am happy that he's doing that. But this is not like we're both going to sponsor legislation that's going to go through. Like, what is the material thing that I'm achieving there?
All right. I thought that was a good answer. And then I thought this was a bad answer. And for the record, I don't like Pod Save America. I think some of you do. I'm not a fan. This is like the petty shit that I don't like. That's why I like Sam. Sam's like, yeah, do your thing. If I'm going to be sitting across from Sam Cedar, Tucker Carlson, I'm going to argue with him about the things that I want to argue about. And it's fine. Like, we can agree on certain things. Cool. But I'm still going to push for him to move in a different direction. I'm not going to play kumbaya. I think that's a good answer. This is why I don't really like Pod Save America. Here's Hunter Biden because he was on with Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson, because he's an anti-Semite and he's this. I know you're not an anti-Semite. I 100% know you're not an anti-Semite.
No.
Yeah, no, that's what my point being is that. No,
I would just say so.
My point being is that, like, if it's anti-Semitic to point out that Bibi Netanyahu is evil incarnate.
That's true. I am also petty. That's true.
Then you know what? I don't know what to say to people anymore.
He's got like all of Joe Biden's ego, but like none of the civic mindedness is how it always feels to me.
He's just doing like a pander thing, right? Which is it's a little Biden-y, where he like wants to be sort of nice and gracious to the person he's sitting down with, but he does it in a way by being like, oh yeah, everything you say is amazing and great. I have disagreements with you, but like, I don't think you're an anti-Semite, blah, blah, blah.
It's so fun to only argue with the dumbest version of your opponents. That's true when you put a wig on and try to join the WNBA. It's also true when you say it's anti-Semitic to say that Bibi Netanyahu is evil. What are we doing? Well, maybe sort of interrogate a less stupid version of this and see how far you get there. Like Tucker Carlson has had Holocaust deniers on his show. He has embraced a whole host of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. He has been flirting with all kinds of anti-Semitism. He has accused so many people of having...
Now, here's the criticism I have of Pod Save America, because we have different shows, and Sam Cedar has a different show than Pod Save America. Pod Save America likes to talk about politics. They like to talk about the game of politics. And they're covering this from that perspective. If you're talking about winning in politics, and you have somebody that's on your side for an issue that, and I don't know I don't know if either of them are what their position is on Israel, but it's a very popular position currently on the left to oppose funding to Israel. Why would you do that? Why would you spend that time when you've got a concession out of Tucker Carlson that you would not have gotten if he was at Fox News? Like, let's be honest about that. If Tucker still worked at Fox News, he would not be criticizing Israel in the way that he is. He would have chosen money. I think he's kind of admitted that he would have kept just like getting paid to lie. And there's some appreciation for Tucker that he's come out and been like, okay, I said things I didn't believe because I was paid to say things I didn't believe. But this is a better situation. And if the end goal here is to sway people, which Pod Save America is trying to do, then I don't understand this criticism.
Dual loyalties. Like, he has engaged in a ton of like anti-Semitic tropes. He has used anti-Semitism in how he makes his arguments. Whether you want to sit there and sort of be the arbiter of whether or not Tucker's an anti-Semite, white people tend to be circumspect about saying to other white people, you're not a racist.
Yeah, you shouldn't. For the record, I don't trust Tucker Carlson. I don't trust most people. I just also don't care when it comes to Israel. Like, if he is going to influence people to push politicians to not fund Israel, I don't care if he means it or not. I could give a fuck. I like what he's doing. That's the best possible outcome. So why would I spend time like trying to convince the people who like him that like he's faking this? Why would I do that? That goes against what I want and what I think is best. So I'm not going to spend time being like, well, I know he's saying this right, but remember, no, I want the right thing to be done right now.
Right? But somehow when it comes to anti-Semitism, there's a lot of people that aren't.
Jackie, I also agree. I haven't heard him saying anything anti-Semitic recently, but like he used to. He definitely used to. He's platformed Holocaust deniers with virtually no pushback. It's a fair criticism to say his track record isn't what Hunter Biden said, like, oh, yeah, 100% no, you're not anti-Semitic. Maybe he's changed his opinion, but his track record is not 100% not anti-Semitic, I guess.
Jewish that are allowed to be like, I've checked and you're not. And it's like, well, okay, buddy, great. Thanks for letting us know. We were waiting for the Hunter Biden imprimatur on Tucker Carlson to let us know whether Tucker Carlson is an anti-Semite or not. And now there's one less thing to worry about.
Here's my thing about
the other thing, and I'll just end it there because I don't care about the rest of this part. Like, it's not for you and it's not for us. This interview, raise your hand if you watched that interview. I didn't watch that interview because I was like, that's not for me. I already know what Hunter Biden thinks. I know where he's at. I know what Tucker thinks. There's nothing in this interview for me that is going to be eye-opening. It's just like, yeah, I think these are two, like Hunter's kind of a left-leaning centrist, and Tucker is either cosplaying or is now a right-leaning centrist. They're both like kind of finding the populist position. It didn't entice me at all. Anyways, I don't think it matters that much, to be honest. But I just thought it was an interesting comparison between these two, and I don't really know what to do with Tucker. I don't know what to do with Candace Owens. I don't know what to do with all the times like people will come on and they're like, "You're saying the same thing Nick Fuentes is saying." I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's true. That fucking sucks, though." Like, I don't really want to be looped in with Nick Fuentes, but he's saying it. So it was same with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I have this gag reflex when I'm looped in with those people. But do I set aside my ego? Do we all set aside our egos and say, all right, for the greater good, maybe we won't attack them right now? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I just wanted your guys' opinion. All right, we're going to watch this video that was sent by Courtney, and then we're going to get out of here. This earthquake? What is this?
These ain't jokes.
I'm going to get copyright stricken for this. I can't. I will watch this, Courtney. But I'm going to stand up. They're going to copyright strike me. They're so strict on that shit. I will watch it and I will tell you what I think about it. But that's going to get this video taken down.
We could watch it and I can edit it out if you want.
My concern is that we're going to get like an actual strike for that because like they're very serious about stand-up comedy. Like, I'm worried about getting an actual strike on that one. Yeah, let's do that. We'll post it in Discord. We'll do that. That's safe. And then you sent me, it looks like she did quit. Here we go. Trump says Caroline Leavitt resigning as White House press secretary by the end of August. So she can spend more time with her beautiful young children and family. That makes sense. The president said, well, she'll be one of my top outside advisors. For sure. He's going to listen to what she said. By advisors, he means she's just going to go on TV. She's just transitioning into a TV career. That's what's going to happen. She's going to be on Fox. She's going to transition into a career just like every other. I mean, that's what Jen Psaki did. That's what who was that idiot that was the first time around? Who was Trump's spokesperson? Kayleigh McEnany. They all do that. It's a stepping stone for them. Did they say who's going to take this spot? Is she the longest? Is any press secretary for Trump lasted longer? I guess what was her? Huckabee Sanders. She was probably in there for a long time. Well, it'll be good to see her go. She's tough to watch. That job sucks. They all suck. You really can't have a conscience and be Trump's spokesperson. All right. Today is Wednesday. Okay. Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. As far as I know, let me check my email real quick. I requested that my court hearing be postponed. Let me double check real quick and see. I've got an answer on that. Okay. As of now, tomorrow we will not have a show. I have court, and it's right in the middle of our show. So as of right now, no show tomorrow. If that changes, I'll announce it tomorrow morning. I'll know. They won't tell me tomorrow morning. They would tell me today. So if I know later today, then we will have a show tomorrow. But plan on no show tomorrow, and then I'll be back on Friday. And I'll be back every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here wherever you're watching today. TikTok, we made it all the way through. Thank you guys so much. Top gifters on TikTok were Johnny D, La Ra Lee, Plants on the Spectrum, Eve, Amanda, B Bunny, and Dolphin. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. But until I see you, go outside and touch grass. If you can't touch grass, smoke grass. If you can't touch grass or smoke grass, best of luck to you. I don't know what you're going to do, but perhaps an option for you would be to reach down, find your bootstraps, pull yourself up by those bootstraps, and put those boots on the ground to go do something good. But before you go outside, make sure you look in the mirror, say something nice about yourself. Drink some water, too. And take some water with you because it's hot out there and it's important to stay hydrated. Be nice to your friends, your family, and those you come in contact with. But most importantly, be very nice to yourself. And until I see you guys all tomorrow, I guess Friday morning, take care of yourselves. Stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.